And GRDA receives 2 locomotives, 20 freight wagons ahead of schedule. And there is one story from Samson Ladi Ayenini, the burden of proof and the presumption of innocence, lessons from London. So that's for the News Center newspaper.
We move on to the Custodian this morning, and it has Darko Mensah proposes mining revenue sharing formula. It has a picture of Mr. Kwabna Ochre, Darko Mensah, Honorable MP for Takrade. Wejak Bawi MP's I-Sedri Initiative benefits second batch. And then Attorney General justifies District Assembly's Common Fund payment into MP's personal accounts. In Sawam Adrejiri constituents benefit from Anodompre I-Sedri project. And then the banner headline with a picture of Reverend John Intim Fojo, who's ranking member on Defense and Interior, says probe $208 million drug bust. Intim Fojo presses for answers on alleged link to Ghana.
Okay, and then for the Accra Times, before I go to that,
yes,
I think the eye surgery initiative seems to be more of an MPP thing.
Oh, really? Because
yeah.
The Wejak Bawi, who's the Wejak Bawi MP? Not Sly.
Yes.
Is
Sylvester.
Is that him?
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay.
And then there's the Adwejiri, Adwejiri
yes,
one
okay.
as well. It's a good initiative that must be commended.
Oh, is this something that the party is embarking on, or you're just speaking to these two?
No, I'm speaking to the two. It looks
okay.
like. It looks like. But if it is a party initiative,
see the man talking about statistics, and he's using to. He said I should provide statistics.
It looks like.
Yeah,
but
if
it seems to be a party initiative, I think it's commendable.
Yeah. Right.
Such initiatives should be commended.
Great.
People struggle to come up with financing some of these things.
These things, absolutely. Yeah. You're right on that. You're right on that.
So on the Accra Times, we have Afoko. He says, I return for power. Afoko pushes NPP unity and Baumia presidency. And Marrakesh Parliamentary Economic Forum, Ghana is good for trade and investment, says Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. And we have fighting corruption in Ghana. Shraj Boss demands genuine commitment from state institutions. And on page 6, there's a story on Totobi Kwache celebrates Rawlings for NDC founding values. And there's also tips on investigative journalism school. That's Manessa Azori School's Unimac students. And my best friend, Mr. Frederick Opoku Kwate, the rent control boss. He's my best friend for this quarter. Yes, he says high rent costs challenge young Ghanaians. Priced out of a home. So that's the Accra Times.
Let's get to the Source newspaper this morning, which says that Attorney General, Lord God Almighty, Attorney General, payment of public funds to MPs justified. Supreme Court dismisses injunction. Zoom Lion begins nationwide fumigation. People of Wejak Bawe benefit from MP's Eye Care initiative. And Gordon to Jampo, your Momo admits government failings. Your memo, admits government failings. So that is the source for this morning.
Okay, and then for Daily Guide, for this morning, we have court grants Kwejo Safo, 8 others, 4.5 million Ghana cedis bail. Baumia presidency coming, Afoko declares. Adjoa Safo breaks silence. Bullets, glass fragments lodged near my brain. Electricity tariffs up by 3.49%. Water by 0.85%. Gold Board introduces new pricing regime. And yes, that's for
so the Daily Graphic for this morning says Stars take giant step neutralizes England with master class display. That is all what it has on the front page for Daily Graphic today.
So that a few more, right?
Yes, there's the Chronicles. It says CSO's Lord Miff's investment in Electrochem. I want power back for MPP, Paula Foko. And preparatory school at Amomole turns pupils into beggars. Gold Board announces overhaul of pricing regime. Yes, that's for the Chronicles newspaper.
Okay. So let's see. There are some headlines here on the front page of. I'm just trying to scoop it out. It's just giving me a little wahala. Well, it is well.
Let me go to the Metro Lens, where it says Review Disability Act 715 to better protect persons with disabilities. Anodon Pre. Ghana frustrates England in Boston. And electricity tariffs up. We have Kantanka family feud. I have never owned a gun, Ajosafo declares. The Ghanaian Times here says transport crisis deepens. Long queues, high fares, delays hit commuters. Private gun permit revoked. New strict re-registration process announced. Over 1,700 displaced as floods ravage Western region. Nana K. Safo Akofena, 8 others granted 4.5 million Ghana cedis bail. And then the Daily Gist here says Baumia presidency, MPP coming, Afoko rallies, party for victory. Ajo Asafo undergoes 2 surgeries after Christo Asafo shooting. Sex scandal rocks Kaswa, NDC. Chairman MP trade blows over leaked tape. And Gold Board tightens grip on gold trade with new rules for buyers. Sticker declares war on underage gambling. Probe 300 million Australia drug bust linked to Ghana, says in team Forjo. And this scandal,
catches your attention.
it's been all over social.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's been all over social.
I've seen a few people talk about it, and I've been wondering why the excitement.
Yes, usually I don't
Why
like to
shouldn't-
comment on things
why
like that.
shouldn't
I
they
quite
do that?
remember the Kandapa incident as well. I think those are people's private lives.
I say no
I don't
to
like
that.
to comment on
Well,
things.
You
don't
say
know.
no to that.
I say no to that. I mean, so
Once it comes
I
up
plead the fifth.
for public conversations, you delve into it.
the point is that so many things have happened with other people that has not come out. So long as you put yourself in the public.
No, if you're in the public, it does not mean
Yes.
your private life should be discussed.
Absolutely.
What private life do you have? When you say private life, what do you mean by private life? what do we mean by private life? So what I don't know what the story is about, but it's about a sex scandal of a leaked tape, right?
It's
No,
even,
not
it's,
a
it's
video.
even criminal. It's
No, I think
criminal
it's,
by
it's
law.
an audio recording of someone alleging sex happening between 2 consenting adults.
No, it's
And
an
that-
Yeah, then I'm
allegation.
saying
Yeah.
It's
that
an allegation. Then we have no reason to.
no allegation or not. I think
Yeah.
these are 2 adults
Yes.
who are independent and are entitled to their own
I
choices.
disagree.
Absolutely.
Because running an office, a public office,
I disagree.
you see, no, you may bring in a morality issue and so on and so forth, but
Because it's expected of you to put up
High moral standards.
yes, high moral,
a part of it. You
high
know-
moral standards. But is it your fault when your private affair finds itself in the public domain?
private, normal, regular affair or private, irregular.
If we should normalize it, I'm telling you, a lot of politicians can live in
It
this
doesn't
country.
matter. So let it happen.
No, that's
because of the expectation of the fact
that's
that
not
many people will
Ghanaian
not survive
culture.
it. We shouldn't
No,
put it out
it's
there.
not even Ghanaian culture. It's not even in our culture.
I want
No,
to,
I'm saying it's not even in our- it's not even in our culture
I
to-
want to put the debate in proper
Yes.
context, right? Your argument is that it's people's private life.
Yes.
And by no means should it be a topic of discussion, whether or not you're a politician, you're a private individual. That's your general stance. That
Yes.
affairs and whatever relationships, whether extramarital, extracurricular activities, be it whatever description it will be given,
Yes. Where in their mandate is it stated?
No,
that
that it is private and it must not be discussed.
Integrity matters.
Patrice, you argue that if it bothers with on a public office holder,
yes,
it is something that must be discussed.
Absolutely.
Because of high moral integrity.
Thank you.
That's
because
your
people look
argument
up to
as well.
you. You are a leader. You are the one who gives the orders. You are the one that people follow through. You are the one who is actually trailblazing every institution that you are heading. So there are certain things that you can't go do. So for example, yesterday.
How has that got to do with your favorite sex position?
At the game
No,
that I was
tell me
watching,
how that has got to do with your favorite sex position.
Two people were kissing. On the park.
Where was this?
On the park, on the Legon Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, two people were kissing. Do you think if Roxy Nelson Dapiamepo was the one seen kissing, what's the name, another woman in the full glove?
You're talking about another woman. This is a man who is a majority chief whip,
yes,
who is known,
yes,
to be married.
Yes.
You see, so these are you're
no, the sex leak tape that you're talking about, was it speaking about a man and a wife?
I'm coming to that.
Or it was speaking to a man
to be
I'm
very
coming
honest,
to that. And you're saying that you're saying that they were in a public space kissing.
That's
I'm
a public
saying that
space.
what people do in their private lives is none of our business. Point blank. Period. What people do in their private lives, quiet.
You can't go that with leadership. You
Oh,
cannot,
come
you cannot
on.
go that with leadership. No. So leadership comes with some reins of ethical values and virtuous.
Of course.
Yes, exactly. So if you don't have that integrity to project, why are you leading? Because people need to learn from you. Yeah. There are certain things that should not come out so casually. You can't just say, because I'm a private person, I can just go book a hotel, sleep with any woman I thought that I like because I am this.
No, it is your choice. Is it unlawful to be promiscuous?
It's not unlawful.
Is it unlawful to be promiscuous? Is there
not
any mandate when they are appointed that says that they should not pursue
but
their
there is the element of high moral.
Yes, high moral comes in.
Character.
Tell me how the Chief Justice is appointed.
once the subject matter of
High
morality
moral.
comes in,
High morals come in.
and it becomes public, the question will be asked as
How
to,
did it become
as to
public?
whether or
This
not
is
that
Mr. Constitution.
How did it become
Go into
public?
the Constitution and tell me how. Or
We are
the
not
basis.
talking about the Chief Justice. I'm talking about every
doesn't
public
he-
appointee.
So I am putting.
I'm talking about
I
every
am
public
pulling
appointee.
out the Chief
Their
Justice.
private lives and what they do in private with relation to
the Chief
their.
Justice is appointed, isn't he?
yeah, he's
He's
You're,
a public servant, isn't
you're
he?
not listening. You're
I'm
not listening. I'm
I
saying
have,
that
I have scooped him
No,
out.
we are talking about
I'm
their
saying
private
that,
lives.
No, it has to be all public servants because only the Chief Justice. Well, he's a
No.
public servant
Yes,
as well, but I mean,
I
he
am
has to.
saying that if you just go to the Constitution to speak explicitly to the basis on which a Chief Justice is nominated.
I
or
mean,
appointed.
it's a warped comparison.
No.
Why it is warped is because even as a Chief Justice,
Uh-huh.
the standards expected of you are usually even higher.
Including
than,
what?
No, I'm saying
Including
no.
what?
Let me land.
Moral standards, including high moral standards.
You are
That's what
talking
I am-
about the Chief Justice.
Is he not a public servant?
There are categories.
Oh Lord! So now some categories can lower their standards.
no.
And
You
others
see,
can have this high.
you're getting the conversation confused.
I am not.
You're
at
getting the
all.
conversation confused because it seems I don't know if it's a personal vendetta or
Against
something
who?
against these public officials
my
and their
goodness.
private
Against
lives.
who?
It's not personal
But-
vendetta.
Yes.
I'm not sure it's got into personal vendetta.
Yes,
Don't even
but the way he's so passionate and,
No,
and
okay.
changing
No.
the conversation and
It's
now
a
going
sub-
to
it's
the
a-
Chief
it's
Justice
a
and
subject,
is
a
the
subject
basis?
matter of morality.
Great.
Right?
yes.
But whose morals?
Whose moral?
How do you measure?
No,
How do you?
it's-
how-
that's
yes.
actually where I'm going. Whose morals? On what basis are we measuring?
But they are-
I'm seeking to make a point, right? In the case of this, and I'll be very honest, I've not followed the conversation through and through, and so I don't know what the intricate details are.
Right.
And so I'm flying a bit blind, right? But in this case, it's a female member of parliament.
Yes.
I can't believe we're even having this conversation this morning. It's a female member of parliament. And there's an allegation of some... I don't know if there actually has been sex. Because yesterday, I recall someone was telling me about this story and said they had she had promised, or someone had asked that she gives sex in return of taking her to Parliament.
I mean, there will be a lot of speculation. So
You
far
understand?
as we have not dug into the matter, we won't even understand. But my personal conviction
is that those things.
I don't want to find myself discussing people's sexual choices, what they decide to do with. I am not their family head. I am not their husbands or their spouse, and so this is a very private and sensitive matter. If by mistake it finds its way into public domain, you should rather exercise high moral standards by not fueling it.
But you'll agree there's expectation of a moral standard for a public officer.
Of course. But let me ask you, Mawina. Let me ask you, Mawina.
That would include...
There are some families that think, right? There are some families that think alcoholism, even if managed, is immoral. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean...
So how do you define this morality?
We are looking at public officers. And
it does not mean say that
is rather the WAP
way
argument.
into public.
That is rather the WAP argument, because hold on, we are talking about people in public office. And everybody, before you climb up the ladder of public office, there are certain virtues that you are supposed to extol.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're saying that I can just walk into any public office, have a sexual relationship with the secretary, or
do you remember Kandapa's issue?
Forget about that.
No, I'm asking. Do you remember Kandapa's issue?
It came into the public domain. Yes.
You remember Kandapa's issue?
Yes, that was a very sensitive matter.
Yes. And what was your position on that?
He shouldn't have done that.
Why shouldn't he?
Shouldn't have done
no,
that.
why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he?
You are the head of national security.
The head of national security.
But that was a private conversation.
No.
Who told you it was a private conversation?
It was a private conversation. That was leaked.
No.
No,
it was a private leak comes in.
Which was leaked.
You see, the moment leak comes in, and it is a private affair, or it is a private matter, and it is leaked. Tell me, how does this solve our problems as a country?
No, it's not about it. No, so you're now reducing it to something that is...
I'm not reducing it to something that is low.
We have something called deductions, and we have something called extrapolations. So when you make your deductions that if the head of a national security can go this way to just a lady...
In fairness, if there was a relationship, he wasn't butt naked. He was just turning around and showing.
No, but even if he was naked, that is his personal choice.
We don't do that.
He chose. You don't do that. Are you his family head?
We don't do that.
But you're not his family head. How do you decide for him whom he should be with? And so if whoever he's with, that's why they are lost. If whoever he's with, right, decide, then you know what?
In fact, the person who leaked the thing actually breached the privacy of Kandapar.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying that there are laws. So let's not fuel these things, especially when the law says that even sharing ignorantly.
So here's what I'm going to say, right? In terms of the morality subject, right? Does it come up when it is done in the open, or breaches of privacy must still be something which is considered within the context of morality? Because in the many instances where, for instance, this now, where this has come up and there's a conversation, it has actually come out for a conversation because someone has decided to leak private correspondence. And it has become the subject matter of public debate. Private correspondence. Whereas the example you gave as to the majority chief whip, which was just an example, openly engaged in an act like that, will be open.
Why would you be open? Is it not this private matter?
No, if you're in a public space, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's public space, and then there's privacy.
Of course, how does what I do in my
Patrice,
bedroom
when you're home and you have a video conversation with your partner, That is
partner,
private.
Legitimate partner. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's private.
Whether it's a married partner, it's
somebody,
like when you have correspondence with somebody.
It is the repercussion thereon. That is why I'm saying that when you're holding decorum, a certain level of morality is expected of you, because you are wrecking somebody's home. You are sending a negative signal to those in the office,
which
that
will come
it is possible.
biting you back.
What if you're giving the person favors, so the person actually deserves that, and you give it to the person? They would say that it is based on the sexual
So are
favors.
husbands who are appointees giving their wives favors? Are they not having sex?
I don't understand that.
But that's marriage.
Yes,
that's marriage. That's not the example that I gave. Hold on.
No, you cannot say that because they are having, you see, because
you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for this break. When we return, we'll talk about tariffs.
and we'll talk about what's the name?
The gun.
The payment. No. Yeah, the gun matter is also another one. Then the payment of monies into MP's private account.
Yes, that as well, because the Attorney General has been. But this is the 3FM Sunrise. We're going for this quick break. When we return, we get into other matters outside of morality.
Bank that supports you.
We've put to bed the subject matter on morality. Patrice, you had wanted to start off on the AG stain, but I want us to get on to tariffs, right?
No,
and so we're seeing an increase in tariffs from the 1st of July. Electricity is going up by some
3.5%.
Yeah. 3.5%. Water, 0.85. 0.85. Any surprises there? A lot of people would have made the argument that look, an increase, not what I mean. Nobody likes to pay more.
Yeah, nobody likes to pay more.
In sincerity, and so they'll ask the question: should we have seen an increase? Yes, in the last review, we saw a decrease of some 3 point. No, Friday, let me see electricity. By what percentage it decreased? By 4.81. And so it could have stayed like that and not seen an increase.
Well, usually they need to advance a reason they have decided to
exchange rates. Exchange rates has been the reason they've
see. So are we going by a certain formula that when the exchange rate suits us, we adjust to a particular tariff? When it goes a certain way, if that is the mathematics of it, then we may not we may not have a cause to complain. The reason being that everything comes at a cost, and definitely it's going to cascade to consumers. So there's a confusion. People believe that it is being done for those in like the manufacturing companies and the big companies, so that the users would rather be the ones suffering. So, for example, now for the increase of the 3.5, if you're using, say, 300 units and you used to buy at 300 cedis, now it's going to go up to like some 317 or so.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so it's going to go a little bit exactly. But the point is that, is it necessary or not? PURC has a way of justifying the reason they want to increase tariffs. And some people believe that they need to have a certain level of engagement with, for example, leaders of industries and the Consumer Association. If you don't do these things, these are some of the ramifications, because everybody will believe that, well, if everybody else would say, especially those who run transport, GPRTU, would say that, okay, if I am paying higher electricity tariff and higher water tariff, I need to make some money from somewhere to support that. And my business is running transport. So if I don't increase the transport fares, I wouldn't be able to pay for the electricity that I am used to. And that is a very genuine question, because if we so claim that anytime there is an adjustment in what's the name?
Transport fare. No, you mean electricity tariffs?
No, not that. The forex exchange, the exchange rate.
Exchange rate is what you mean.
We shouldn't be doing that to ourselves. Yeah. There should be a special way of dealing with this, and we have to migrate companies based on what they do, because we are heavily a manufacturing, what's the name? Dependent on power to do a lot of manufacturing in this part of the world. And if you're increasing electricity tariff, the point is that the burden is going to be on all these manufacturing companies, and they wouldn't take it lightly. They are also going to put the burden on consumers. So sometimes PURC, well, if they so claim, that's what I'm saying, if they so claim that it is based on the exchange rate, is there a formula that everybody would understand and know that should the cedi go stronger against the dollar, this is what would happen. There's going to be a decrease. If it becomes weaker against the dollar, then. But then wherein lies the buffer? Wherein lies the buffer? What is there to support people who may not be able to afford? Because immediately you are not going to increase people's salaries. Much as the 3.5, people would say that yes, it is quite minimal. Comparing it to what happened in 2023, when it went up to like 23%, people will say it's minimal, but then there's a certain level of increase which is going to affect every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah.
That is what it means. So for me, if it's a formula, let us know. So we all play by the rules. So if tomorrow we wake up and the cedi goes stronger against the dollar or other foreign currency, then we know that yes, what you're doing is right. But then, if this is how they want to operate, they need to engage.
So they provide the reasons or the factors under consideration, and we're seeking to get them to provide a bit more. Okay, I'll come to you just briefly on the subject matter. But on the factors, the Ghana cedi dollar exchange rates, which they say the weighted average for which they are using is 11.22 to a dollar. That is slightly above what the BOG is offering in terms of what it is that we're seeing. Because I went on to the website of the Bank of Ghana as well, and then there is inflation rate of some 3.43% for the third quarter of 2026, indicating a downward review. Then the price of weighted average gas. But I'm going to pause on that and get us onto the phone with Dr. Shafiq Suleiman, who's the Executive Secretary of the PURC, to get a bit more in terms of the questions you're asking as well, Patrice, that if we're to see the exchange rates perform favorably, should we expect all of this to go down as well? Doc, I appreciate you for joining us this morning here on the 3FM Sunrise. The question which is on the minds of everybody is why we're seeing an increase in terms of tariffs starting July 1. I've been trying to go through the factors the Commission has considered, but we're hoping you can give us a bit more in terms of a justification as to why we should pay more starting from July 1.
Okay. Thank you, and good morning to your cherished listeners, right? And then
yes, listeners.
To all Ghanaian consumers. I think there've been very interesting dynamics within the power sector, which we've been trying as much as possible to solve. And I think the quarterly tariff review, as you are aware, come in handy once in a while to adjust the tariff to reflect the macroeconomic indicators, as we've mentioned, inflation, exchange rate. And then we have the WACOG, the weighted average cost of gas, and then we then have the thermal mix, hydrothermal mix. So all these factors are inherent. They are factors that Siomoto, you can't do anything about them when you are looking at the tariff every quarter, because you have to adjust to pay the cost of power generation, that's the thermal plants, and you also pay the other service providers, the utility providers, to ensure that the power is kept stable. And importantly, to also make it reflect realities. Maybe there are some existing challenges with maintaining stability and reliability. Then you try as much as possible to prioritize that, because if the power is, even if it's down, the price is down to any amount, and the power is not stable, I mean, you still have not met your purpose. If it is also too expensive that Ghanaian consumers cannot pay, you see, it's a tough balance there. So one or two times you have to do one or two things to ensure that you keep the balance going on.
Right. In terms of the factors of consideration, I see we're heavy on exchange rate, inflation rate, the price of natural gas, and then the electricity generation mix, right? Looking at both hydro and thermal. So with the exchange rate, for instance, we're looking at an average between now until when the second, or is it the third quarter is done, factoring it in the pricing. The question which is being asked is, what happens between now and when that third quarter ends? Should the exchange rate drop significantly? Should we return into the regions of 10 cities? Because now we're in 11.19 when I checked the BOG's latest update from yesterday. What happens? There's a question as to, do we enjoy the benefit immediately? And also, does the Commission factor into all of its consideration the ripple effect this could have on the cost of living as well for the ordinary Ghanaian?
Yeah, thank you. So the Commission has some very important and very interesting dynamics to take care of what we call something under recovery and over recovery. So anytime there's an excessive appreciation of the cedi against the dollar, during the time of the tariff announcement to the next announcement, I mean, we take care of that positive gains, and we use it to offset the expected revenue requirement for the next quarter. So if it is positive, we use it to reduce. If it is negative, that's when we add it to the revenue requirement, and then it results in adjustment. So anytime there's any gains within those parameters, we try as much as possible to capture it as we go along. But the exchange rate is in fact, because our Ghana, our value chain, power value chain is having a structural problem. We still depend so much on power generation. So, for instance, generation accounts for almost 80% of the cost of the value chain. So we have generation, transmission, and distribution. You can imagine if just one component accounts for 80% of the whole value chain.
Which is what? The exchange rate?
Generation component of the power sector.
But Doug, looking at the release.
Let me come.
Okay.
Let me explain. So the generation component then is driven mostly by exchange rate. So you need to always keep up to date with the exchange rate that can allow you to pay for the generation cost. Then before you go to the transmission and then distribution. As for the transmission and distribution, they are also indigenous companies. They are Ghanaian entities. Gridco is a Ghanaian company. We can at least work with, even though we are supposed to pay them 100% for whatever they do. But you can at least work not to pay them. You can pay them within reasonable amount so that you can keep the sector going. Then you have the distribution leg, which obviously is ECG. You are also giving them amounts that can allow them to maintain the system and also do instantaneous maintenance and keep the system ongoing. Yeah, but the heaviest burden is on the generation. So can continue with your question. The heaviest burden is on the generation.
Right. Doc, fair point on generation, but we see from your release that in terms of the generation mix, it remains unchanged. Yes, you mentioned that exchange rate is a factor to consider, where you mentioned there's been a 0.2% depreciation of the Ghana cedi. But within the generation is natural gas. And in natural gas, we've seen a downward adjustment of 1.58%. That should amount to something for the Ghanaian.
Yeah. So thank you. So interestingly, you see, we because we want to ensure that the Ghanaian consumer is not overburdened with cost of power generation, we substitute or we maintain natural gas as a fundamental fuel for power generation cost. That's why we use the WACOG. But obviously, obviously, we are not only dependent on natural gas. We start with the hydro. We hit maximum generation with it, Akosombo Pong. In fact, we don't even rely on wind as a base load hydro. We use it for peak, so that is out. Then you move towards the gas. The gas then comes in to fill in the remaining demand. But unfortunately, gas supply is literally also constant. See, demand surges at a point. You need what we call LCO, liquid crude oil, right? Is it light crude oil? Yes.
Light crude oil.
Yes, to quickly come in to sustain. You'll be surprised the amount of light crude oil we consume every month or every quarter. It's about $45 million. That is not captured in the tariff at all. Then you move towards what we call HFO and GFO, which are used intermittently to also sustain the system. See, that is not also covered at all. The light crude oil, light crude oil, Finance Ministry has made provision for it to be paid for every quarter, 45 million for 4 quarters. Just imagine the cost. That is not in the tariff. We are not paying for it. It's more or less like a subsidy that the government is giving to all of us to sustain the system. In any case, so the government is giving to all of us to sustain the system. But then the other items like the HFO, the DFO that are used to intermittently sustain the power during peak hours, there's absolutely nothing you can. In fact, even if finance is to make provisions for it, the timeliness of it being made available for the thermal plants at the exact time that the peak is needed and the peak demand, the fuel is needed, hardly do we get it. And so you get intermittent power outages, especially from 6 p.m., sometimes 7 p.m. onwards. You realize that the system cannot. But if those fuels are made available at the exact time, then some power plants like AXA and Send Power and Asubili can rely on them to come in and sustain the system for the period of the peak. And I think those are some of the challenges with generation that you have to consciously look at. Parameters that can allow the system to be able to carry all of us from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., right? So those aspects of the generation are things that we cannot, unless we want to also look at accepting that from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. or from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., we can afford to let the lights be out, or we can afford some interruptions.
Right.
Doc,
My colleague Patrice is here. He's going to ask a question, and then I'm going to come in again and ask about the general look in terms of the power sector as well, because we know you play a role as a regulator in terms of how well ECG is able to manage its resources and carry out its operations well, because in the end, that will continue to have a ripple effect as to whether or not we pay more for power or not. But Patrice.
Yes, Doc. Thank you so very much. Doc, I need to find out, did you consider leakages as well? Do you consider leakages in the system? Leakages. Energy leakage. Yes, exactly. Illegal connections.
The commercial losses. So we have two leakages. We have technical and commercial. But let me even just address something on that.
Let me just add two, and then you can deal with all of it. Have you also considered alternative energy or alternative
so the
power?
Leakages, let me tell you the leakages. Yes. Let me start with the leakages before the commercial and the alternatives. So the leakages are technical and commercial. The technical losses, we've worked with it, is around 10%. You see, even the benchmark we have given, 21% for both technical and commercial. But ECG generally are working hard to ensure that the technical losses are minimized. It's the commercial losses. Commercial losses are issues that are very rampant within the sector. That's when people are bypassing the meter, people are finding all ways and means of not even paying whilst consuming. We are having it across the length and breadth of the country, but it's all on us. There are sometimes when we know that people are using power without paying, or we suspect that people are using power without paying. It's just the same as theft. If you suspect anybody stealing per the rules of Ghana or the laws of Ghana, you are supposed to report. It's so that we can take actions to remedy it. If not, if obviously the commercial losses, someone is not paying, we are all going to bear the burden. See, let me say this. Anytime there's a loss within the system, it then means that either you and I are paying it, or the government would then absorb it as a debt in the sector for us to pay with our taxes. But then ECG is also doing well. They've tried to inject some new transformers and are also making effort to ensure that power theft is curtailed. But we are still exploring other ways and means or other mechanisms to ensure that we cover most of the loopholes within the sector, so that there will be equity and everybody can pay what. With the alternatives, solar energy, we are, in fact, thanks to this government, for this year alone, over 600 megawatts of solar energy projects have been approved.
Approved?
Is this also unfortunate? The periods where we use the power mostly, and which when the lights are out, it will have rippling effect, is 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And that time there's no solar. We've explored battery storage. Battery storage comes with an extra cost. And as I'm telling you now, we've actually advertised through the Energy Commission and Ministry of Energy to advertise to get companies to come and build about 200 megawatt battery storage systems across specific BSPs, that's bulk supply points, across the urban area, that's Kaswa, some major areas that's Pukwase, East Legon, and all those major PSPs that we know have overloads, so that during peak hours we can store the power during off-peak through the solar system or even through the grid itself. And during off-peak period and peak period, we can release it from the battery. And we are trying to do it within the shortest possible time before the end of the year, because obviously the demand is also surging more than supply, and we are trying our best. The system is trying its best to put in these short-term measures to hold it. See, so that's solar. And we are also, I know even ECG itself is contracting some companies in the Volta region to build solar systems. We is also doing about 200 megawatts. So alternative energy, fantastic. But in the long term, I would always recommend that we need to critically look at our base load. Honestly, the Akosombo dams, they are overburdened now, and we've transitioned drastically and fast to what we call thermal energy. We can't depend on thermal energy as our base load. It is expensive anywhere else. And so if we can quickly think about a quick solution to bring in a base load plant that is cheaper, that is reliable, that can give us huge, like 1,000, 2,000 megawatts to supplement Akosombo. Trust me, it will bring down the cost of power drastically. And we can always look at the numbers.
But Doc, when you say if we can think about a quick solution, there's what? Renewables, right? You're talking about solar energy solar and all of that. All that. Shouldn't that be where we're looking at, even before K also comes in with a question of his own? Because if we need 1,200 megawatts of power, and we all agree that thermal energy is expensive,
yes, shouldn't
the workings be on that solution in terms of renewable, which we have the abundance of
we have about
that you are doing some work
committed.
Yeah.
600 megawatts committed renewable energy projects that are commencing this year. But the solar energy, it's when it is off peak, when the sun is shining within the daytime, in the evening it hardly shines, right? That's off peak from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. At that period, that's when the demand actually surges. The demand issue is not during the day. It's not from 10 a.m. to...
I think you explained that you're seeking to develop batteries around Kaswa and the likes, where it will store the power and release during the peak hours as well. Yes. But I've heard the energy minister as well on a second gas processing plant to help reduce the burden in terms of the purchases of fuel and all of that. That comes in, and the story or the picture as well begins to change.
No, so demand is constantly increasing. So the second gas plant, obviously, because we still depend on the LCO, is to replace that $45 million every quarter. It's too expensive, and that money can be used for other things. Compared to even replacing that with the second gas processing plant, it makes perfect sense, economic sense. So bringing a second gas plant, fantastic, so that it can as well sustain the existing domestic gas we have. You won't believe how much we pay to end gas every month to get gas. $12 million on average, including the transmission system payment we pay to work. In fact, because if you add the transmission payment we pay to work West African Gas Pipeline, about $6 to $7 million, or even $8 million every month to the 12 million. You are looking at $20 million every single month we pay to West African Gas Pipeline and end gas to import gas. So if we have an alternative domestically, it makes sense to build our own domestic gas systems. We have the Ghana gas. Ghana gas is one of our saviors. So Ghana gas gives us gas, and we are using it to supply power. Payment arrangements are not that stringent like West African Gas Pipeline and NGAS.
Right. Then
we have ENI. ENI supplied we've asked them to increase. That's the Sankofa gas project to about almost 275 SCF now every day. Also fantastic. Just we have a problem with the cost. It's a little bit expensive, but it's still far better than depending on LCU
fair point.
Or HFO. So we are trying to exploit all available resources that have the least cost in the generation mix and utilize them for the sector. That's all what the system is doing now.
Right. I think
when we look at the solar and the others that are not reliable, they are available for us to use solar, but the reliability has a little bit of challenge until we are able to understand how to integrate solar properly.
Doc.
How it is a little bit challenging.
Doc, excuse me. Doc, don't we get tired of all these things? Every year, every time, every season, we keep coming out saying that we need to adjust, we need to create pipelines, we need to have solar energy alternative. Every time it looks like it is the same language we are speaking. When are we going to have all these things sorted for the Ghanaian to just benefit from their energy?
Let me tell you,
Doc, before you answer that, hello, Doc. Hello, Doc. Before you answer that, in fact, I'm looking at the energy sector debt, and I'm looking at ECG's losses. I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm forced to believe that the tariff increases is just compensating for structural weaknesses elsewhere in the system. Because if we look at the under if we look at the under recovery in the sector, we are staring at ECG losses, collection gaps, outstanding obligations, revenue shortfalls, debt servicing requirements, capacity charges, IPP payments. You know, are you not using these tariff increases to cover up and transfer the burden onto the taxpayer, because the ordinary citizen or the consumer? Because, you know, year in, year out, we continue, like my colleague was saying, we continue to hear these things. And even prior to our maturity in understanding the energy sector, I think sometimes the language is even too technical for the ordinary Ghanaian to understand and ask questions, you know. So, I mean, we want to understand, because these numbers are not
any burden to the Ghanaian consumer at all. Yeah, in fact, that's a stopgap. But we are, as I said, even if you are looking at the cost implications, and then you relate that to stability and availability of the power, and the fact that it is a utility, then you have no option. And you've just mentioned the power sector debt. I'm just telling you, on every year, the Ministry of Finance coughs out $1.1 billion. In fact, it was more than that, but because of the issues, IMF coming in and stepping up with some of the issues, it has reduced. It was almost $2 billion every year from the previous administration. It was $2 billion every year. That we were paying into the energy sector to sustain power. Now we've managed to work on it, try as much as possible to ensure that the debt accumulation has reduced to manageable, and you can actually see where the debt is now. You can see categorically where the debt is now. And it is more or less related to the fact that ECG is unable to collect all the revenues, first of all, to cover for the shortfalls. But government is paying $1 billion every single year to sustain, for now, from $2 billion to $1 billion, to sustain the sector. And the finance minister said that this cost is more than the total expenditure of the government in a year. So the energy sector is like a second sector of the economy. We are all paying. There's a way we are all bearing that burden. But gradually, we are now seeing the loopholes. We are seeing the problems, and we are trying our best to cut those loopholes. One of the loopholes, as I say, is about the cost of generation. Composite cost of generation is high for us, and basically we've signed contracts with IPPs, and I mean most of them are long term with very, very stringent payment clauses and all that they've invested. So you are trying to sustain that. But you've seen that in recent times, we've seen the Ghana thermal power coming up with about 1,200. It's intentional to ensure that we are able to bring in a tariff that can be much more lower compared to the existing. And some of the power plants that are expensive, I don't want to mention companies' names, we can let them go so that we can replace them with cheaper power plants. And there are other new plants that are coming up that are relatively cheaper. So these are systems that the next 2-3 years will probably be able to replace some thermal plants. And then we look at the ECG distribution side. It's difficult. PSP, the utility service provider, said they don't want it because they want to manage the company by themselves. But if you also look at the benefits, because I know you know that we still have commercial power theft going on.
Yeah.
Power theft going on.
Yeah.
But unless we get someone that is free from a company that can look at it from a business perspective and collect all the tariff from everybody.
Which is why the conversation about privatization of the distribution aspect is red hot on the agenda for the government.
Exactly. So from what I'm saying so far, are you not convinced that the PSP, even if let me say this, even if it will not solve our problem, but let's try it and see.
All right.
When we saw PDS, we saw that it was a little bit.
There was a certain level of efficiency within the system. Doc,
exactly.
Doc,
so even if PSP we don't like it, but let's try it and see if it is not working. we
can pull the
and
brakes.
focus on our ECG. Yeah.
I said I was going to come back and ask about the energy sector in general, but I think my colleagues have started in that regard. And so my final question, so that we let you go, and then my colleague is in for sports, we can get into that, is ECG specific, right?
Yes.
There's been, for a very long time, challenges with debt accumulation, lack of adequate revenue collection, and what have you. I know for a record that last year, for instance, when tariffs were increased, when the exchange rate was favorable, it was also partly to settle certain outstanding debt, amongst many other things. You're the regulator. In terms of the oversight responsibility on ECG, that it does not become a worrying concern where its mismanagement becomes the burden of Ghanaians, where are we on keeping tabs on ECG and ensuring that things that happen there do not have negative ripple effects on the Ghanaian in terms of having to pay more for power?
Okay, thank you. I think 2025 till now, I can assure you that the current management of ECG is doing extremely well. If you look at the numbers from 2024 downwards, because compared to what we are seeing now, it's like a 360 degrees turnaround at ECG. I wouldn't even want to doubt it at all, because numbers, you can hardly argue with numbers. ECG collection rate, ECG management efficiency, ECG even focus on core activities, ECG's proactivity have tremendously changed. The current PURC and ECG, we are having a very good working relationship in terms of whatever directives we give them, whatever instructions we give them, regulatory directive we give them, they comply. They comply, and things are working as expected.
Right.
But there's more ECG can do, and I think also there's more ECG can do, and we know now one of the major problems with ECG is top management and discipline, and I think those issues, if we can consistently maintain them, the current ECG management, trust me, fantastic. The current MD, current deputy, the board, what they are doing is a yeoman's job. And I think we are seeing benefit from it. Trust me, it could have been worse. It could have been worse, or it was worse. Let me even put it out. It was far worse in terms of revenue collection, in terms of even proactivity. If you have a fault and that needs to be maintained, you know, it has changed now so drastically. I was just even wondering how the PURC was handling ECG from 2024 downwards. Because I saw within the media, they will call ECG, they will even give them
ultimatums which were not being met, and all of that.
Yes, but now things have improved towards that, and we are working together. I mean, regulation is a little bit. If the one you are regulating is not interested or is not law abiding, it becomes difficult to regulate the person. And I want to put on record that ECG has improved in their relationship, they've improved in their efficiency. It's just that, as I said, there's still more we can do. On average, revenue requirement per month is about 2.7 billion Ghana.
How much are they making now?
They collect on average 1.8, 1.7. You see, there's still a shortfall, and that's the shortfall we are all paying for.
Right, Doc.
Right?
Final question in relation to the audited report of ECG and Ghana Water Company. We're in mid 2026. I'm yet to see anywhere those reports out. Is there an explanation, just briefly, as to why we're yet to see these reports?
You see, when 2024 too, there was an audited report by PwC, Pricewaterhouse, of ECG. Are you aware that 2026 we just released another audited report of ECG?
Well, that's actually what I'm asking.
It's on our website.
I'm yet to see.
It's on our website.
So I'll get to the website immediately.
Because 2024 there was a lot of challenges. Those were the times where ECG had about 80 accounts. There's no visibility, transparency in whatever they do. But it has changed now. We've published that report, but because that report has now been sanitized. There are no challenges. We've been able to reduce most of the losses now. ECG has a single holding account. There's transparency in the collection process. Whatever ECG is to get as a distributor to run their operations, they don't get more than that. So those are some of the huge, unprecedented. I don't want to use the word unprecedented because they said it's political. Huge
record
strokes. The sector.
Right.
Yes.
But I'll seek to go onto the PURC website and try and get the audited report for ECG, and then I'm sure
you compare that same audited report to the 2025.
We'll have
2024.
Right.
2024, 2023, and you see the tremendous. ECG was even buying liquid force. ECG was doing so many things that there was no transparency in it, right? But now there's absolute transparency, and
right.
that's the interesting part of it. There's improvement. Actually, there's huge, massive improvement. We are just trying to reduce more of the debt so that we can relieve all of us. It's not only look at that. Let me give you an example. $92 million every month is required to sustain the power sector. Just imagine what it could do. Imagine what it can do with roads, it can do with hospitals, it can do with 92 million to pay to pay NGAS, to
right.
pay Sankofa, to buy LCO, and this is what we cannot do without.
Right then, Doc. Doc, we'll have to leave the conversation. I'm sure within our private conversations, I'm sure I'll send a message when I don't find the reports, and then I'll follow up. But I appreciate you joining us this morning here on the 3FM Sunrise.
Okay, thank you for.
That's Dr. Shafiq. Absolutely. That's Dr. Shafiq Suleiman. He is Executive Secretary of the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, speaking to us this morning here on the 3FM Sunrise. Is here. You do just that for us. We're talking Black Stars of Ghana, and as a Benjamin Asare, for life is for life. For life is for life.
For life is for life.
Yeah, it was a huge game yesterday. One that a lot of people actually did not believe we could come out of with anything. I banked my hopes on one thing: history.
Yes.
Never have lost a second group game at the World Cup.
Yeah. And it still continues.
Yes.
Yeah, it still continues.
And I think yesterday I was telling colleagues that if there's anything that gives me hope, that's one thing. And we've gone against proper elites in the run of second group games. We played Czechia in 2006, who were ranked number 2 in the world at the time. We beat them by 2-0.
Yeah.
In 2014,
we drew 2-2 with Germany.
We drew 2-2 with Germany, eventual winners of the tournament as well. And so if it's not a want of not facing some of the toughest or the baddest in the world in our second group games where we've come out with something.
Yeah.
And so I was relying on that, and history never fails in football, does it?
Yeah, history never fails. And to be honest, it was a wonderful, great shift by everybody on the pitch, from Benjamin Asare himself with the crucial saves to Hurricane shots and then Saka shots, to Marvin Sanaya and how he handled Madueke and Saka, to the centre-back pairing of Jonas Ajeti and then Jerome Opoku, also handling Hurricane quite well, to Gideon Mensah handling Anthony Gordon, handling Madueke, handling Rashford.
Sanaya had a fantastic game as well.
Sanaya, oh my goodness. He was everywhere. I was so impressed. And I'm quite impressed with Jude Bellingham for coming out frankly to say that he didn't deserve that Man of the Match award, and that any of Ghana's backline deserved it better than him. So
the phrase I want to use, I can't use it on air, as to describe his performance, actually.
He
should have got a red card.
Terrible, yes, he should have.
He should have got a red card. We should have got a penalty as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so stonewall.
Yeah, really stonewall. That tackle was.
I don't know how. Is there a problem with the team in going out and demanding their pound of flesh. Because against Panama, there was a foul on Jerome Opoku in the penalty box.
Yeah.
If we didn't get that late winner, it would have cost us, because that was as clear as day, a penalty. On his Achilles,
Yeah.
the Panamanian stamped on it.
Yeah. I think this should be something that Carlos Queiroz should embed in the team. To be assholes sometimes and demand for some things. I think that is something that someone like Mourinho would know less like.
Yeah.
Someone like
Goes
Mourinho.
rushing into the face of the fourth official and asking,
yeah.
why are we not reviewing this? This ought to be reviewed. You know?
I think it's something that he has to show them on tape and say, hey, I mean, in these games there are margins.
Can you imagine what it would have? Can you imagine what it would have been like this morning?
Oh,
when we slaughtered, because that penalty, Semenyo all day long scores against Pickford.
Would you,
all day long.
Would you have been at work at this time?
Oh, my boss. Oh, my boss. I would have phoned Antiama and I would have phoned Asus and Yagula and told them, we are not coming today. the party would have been long.
Yeah.
It would have been for days.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because even for the draw, people were celebrating.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Because the fourth best country in the world.
My goodness.
Basically, we drew
goodness.
the fourth highest ranked team in the world.
We should have beaten them, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we could have beaten them. Very, very impressive shift. I was so impressed.
And I'll be honest, during that first half, when the game started, yes, we didn't have possession. England had all of the ball. They were playing in. I told someone that, look, if this is all they are going to do all day long, for a lot of people, they say they were a bit scared. I was not scared at all because they were just floating crosses in. Jerome Opoku, Ajete, they were dealing with every single cross. In fact, none of the crosses beat the first man. And Gideon Mensah was actually heading out the balls more in that first half than I was seeing Jerome Opoku or Ajete do. And so it was fantastic. Really? A fantastic shift. Really? And they've been speaking, I think starting from the coach all the way to Starman, for life is for life, Benjamin Asare. Walk us through exactly what it is that they've been sharing after that game.
Yeah, of course.
Starting with, perhaps, I don't know if it's the coach or whoever.
Let's start with the coach, Carlos Queiroz, who was definitely impressed with the performance. He also showed some antics. He was asking whether VAR was existent during that game, as well as the Black Stars missed out on a Stonewall penalty.
It was a tough game, no doubt. Very competitive, intense. Two different moments in the game, two different styles. The first 45 minutes was England playing. They expressed them football. We put in place our strategic plan. It was to block them and frustrate them since the first minute until the end of the first half, which we did it. When we finished the first half, I found and I realized that the English team was completely frustrated with no solutions. The usual solutions that they use to capitalize wins, we block them. We succeed in all fronts, either in the set pieces, the diagonal long crosses, penetration in the wings, build-ups with penetration movements. We did it with our players. They did with full concentration, determination. And this showed that football game is not only about tactics and techniques, it's about bravery, courage, determination, intelligence. And the first half was about that. They've been better than us in terms of football. We've been better than them in terms of fighting spirit and determination. Second half was a different story. We have the game, we start to control the game better and better. Because the frustration keep going, no solutions for them, and we create our opportunities. They also have a couple of opportunities open. We have our opportunities, including, by the way, I think it is the right opportunity, because I'm not sure VAR still working in the World Cup. We still have VAR. Is working. I have some doubts about that, because another penalty that they need give to Ghana, clear penalty against England, and with our opportunity in the second half, I think at the end different profiles, but we deserve the draw. The draw was the fair result for both teams. So now, 4 points, we have to keep going, looking for our qualification to the second round. That's what I have to say about this game.
That Queiroz on the penalty as well. He also spoke to the handshake matter. We saw Jed Spence decide to be a complete dunce about it and decide not to shake hands with Thomas. He spoke in relation to it as well. I'm sure we can take a listen to him, and afterwards we come hear from a number of the players.
Look, let me answer this. It did not happen, and as we saw, even the comments of Thomas, my comments from English team, English boys, our players, we refuse to be part of people that try to bring dust and politics inside the game. We fight to keep the 4 lines sacred. It's difficult sometimes, but it happens. So we have to congratulate everybody that was in the game to leave politics and everything that is dirty outside the 4 lines.
Let's get into the others. A number of the players spoke after the game. Who are you starting with in terms of your pick out of the bunch?
Let me start with the great SM, Benjamin Asare. For life is for life. Stated how it feels normal to be facing a striker like Harry Kane and getting away with a clean sheet.
Congratulations on your start. I mean, when you heard that you're going to start your first ever World Cup game, what did it mean to you? Basically, I'm saying English.
To me, it's like the way you are saying, I'm so impressed with my personal self, and I think that is my job, because once it's in my job, I must prove at any time when I'm in the field of play. So I thank Almighty God and the support the Ghana people and my fans and the Shatter movement, every people, those who love me, those who support me with everything. I just pray for them that everything makes successful.
Tell us about the penalty incident. It was on the other end, but have you guys talked about it, whether or not Prince should have had a penalty?
It's the referee decision, because as a field of play, we don't have anything to say. All it's about, we must get concentration in the field of play and just continue in the match.
Now, Harry Kane, the best goal scorer out of Europe this season, you've managed to keep a clean sheet against him. He had 1 shot on target in the whole game. You saved that. Tell me about what it was like coming up against it, the conversation. Like, what
it's normal. About? It's normal. To me, personal self, I think it's normal, because once I'm a footballer.
Harry Kane is normal,
it's normal, because even if the top goalkeeper self, they consider a goal. They score them. So how much me they cannot score me? They can score me, but I want to prove in myself, or I want to prove to people to see that that's my job, so I can do it. So I'm so impressed that God let me get this point to the Ghana people.
Tell us about
support.
What it was like in the dressing room after the meeting. What did the coach say?
Most of them, because they know myself, they know that I can do it. That was SM for life. Yes. That's my life, because I do it for my life. Yes. And I thank Almighty God that He has answered my prayers and everything is successful.
The first time you started a World Cup match, SM for life, how was that?
Says, I thank God for my life. For life is for life.
For life is for life. For life.
We also know that a few of the other players as well shared a few thoughts after the game.
Let's go with Jude Bellingham, who admitted that he didn't deserve that Man of the Match award that was handed to him after his performance in 73 minutes.
We played Croatia in the first game, Ghana in the second. I think Ghana knew what they had to do to get out of the group. I think they'd done it exceptionally well. Their defensive shape, especially the way they blocked through the middle and tried to tried to get us to play and funnel us to the wide areas, and then they had players commit and help with the wingers, with the threats that we had, and even the runs that we tried to make past the ball. It was all just a bit clogged in the middle. So fair play to them, credit to them. They were excellent. We probably could have done a little bit more to open them up, and towards the end of the game, I think it's just about committing bodies and trying to take risks. But like I said, not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world. They still continue to top the group.
Yeah, and we are second.
And we're second.
Yeah.
Haven't made it through, right?
I mean, whatever happens at this point, at least the least we will finish up is with third. Whatever happens at this point, and it would also depend on how the other groups also perform. But it looks more and more likely that Ghana will definitely qualify out of the group. I believe in the other group game, Croatia did defeat Panama, and so that means that Croatia are currently third, we are second, and we'll probably just have to avoid defeat against Croatia to actually finish at least second in the group.
Let's hear from a few more of the players. I think there was Gideon Mensah, who was inarguably one of the standouts from the game. We'll hear from him, and then I'll come to you as to the World Cup in general and whether or not we'll have any games live as well today.
You've played in a back five and also you've played in a back four, but this type of defensive performance and resilience, we've never seen it before. Even with the back four, it felt like it was more compact than when we were even playing a back five. What was the difference?
For me personally or for the team?
For you personally.
I think it has to do with mentality. I mean, it has to do with knowing what platform you're playing on, and I mean knowing where you're standing. And obviously, we're playing the World Cup now, so I think I always say to the boys, like, you don't need no motivation from nowhere. Being in the World Cup, playing against some of the biggest countries in the world, it has to motivate you a lot. So I think playing 2 games, solid defense, no goal conceded, it shows that we are very motivated to do it.
And on the no goal conceded, but do you think that you go 2 games and you wouldn't concede, given the record that we had headed into the tournament? Things have changed so fast.
Yeah, I think, I mean, me personally, today's when I'm realizing that we've gone two games with no goal, I mean, I didn't really think of it that way. But then I think we've done a great job. I mean, we came to the tournament thinking everybody was like going to run over us. I mean, what the comment was on us outside. But I mean, coming here, playing 2 games against, Panama, playing against a team like England today, not conceding a goal is like something that we didn't plan to do it, but obviously we plan not to lose no games, but then defending good and not taking goal is also a plus for us.
And I mean, now that you have 4 points, what's the mentality heading into the Croatia game?
We don't change nothing. We keep going. The goal is to not lose a game in the group stages. Take as much as we can, the points that we can take, we take on our way, and then so there's nothing to change actually. I think the only thing we can do now is just keep pushing and do what we are not doing now. You
said Queiroz was like a father figure. Can you delve into that deeper? Could you have an example?
The example will probably be, he allows the players to be free. When we're not training, when we're not playing, he's not the guy who is gonna force you to not to even spend time with your family or spend time with the boys, some stuff like that. So it gives us the players freedom to move around, and then we as players, we're also professionals, not to abuse whatever authority that he's given us or whatever chance that he's given us. So he makes us feel like, I'm not just here to push you to do what you have to do on the field, but outside the field, I'm also there to help you as a father.
Lastly, I spoke to you before training on Monday. You said that a lot of people are talking about you facing Saka, Madueke and all of that, but they should make sure that after the game, they don't change their mouth.
Yeah, like I said, when we spoke 2 days ago, that's what I said. I think coming into the game, people are thinking, okay, you're playing against Saka, you're playing against Madueke. The story is very direct. People are thinking you're going to be the player that everyone's going to run off. And then, like I said, I'm a player of big games, player that plays against big players. I love to play against big players, so I knew my intention was not to do what I did today. My intention was just to come out and then play like what I'm supposed to play, like, perform good and then defend my goals and then also help my country. So that was it.
That's Gideon Mensah. Let's talk other games now. African interest and whether or not we have a.
If you have the strength to stay up, there's South Africa versus South Korea, which will be coming live on TV3. The game starts at 1 a.m. Discussion.
Oh my goodness! It's the way you say if you have the strength to stay up.
To stay up, and either go and pick a South Korean name, or you say that South Africa is going back to Johannesburg. Yes, the game is at 1 a.m. Discussion starts at 12 a.m. on TV3. So that's a game to look at.
And so that's African interest.
Yes.
Do they make it out of the group if they win this game?
If they win this game, actually, they have a very good chance of making it out of this group. But that will also depend on Czech Republic versus Mexico, because they did draw against Czech Republic, so they are both on the same points. Now it will depend on the goals, basically. How many Czech Republic can score against Mexico if they win. But yeah, it's something that South Africa will definitely be looking at and trying to get the most out of it.
Right. Bill, thank you very much for the very latest from the world of sports. That's my colleague Bill Eshen with 3 Sports joining us with the very latest. We'll get into some other matters for you, and then a quick break as well. Then we get into the big conversations here on the 3FM Sunrise. know, oh, this one, it fits perfectly. We're getting into our big conversations this morning, and we've been talking about utility tariffs and the announced increases expected to take effect from the 1st of June. I'm going to bring in Patrice and Kay just briefly before my guests come in again. We had that interview with Dr. Shafiq Suleiman. Just quickly on the ledger of facts, and then we can get the guests to come in as well, and then we can begin the discussions on that front as well.
Yes, so for the ledger of facts today, we're discussing Ghana's electricity sector and the incremental burden between 2020 and 2026. And the simple question is, are consumers getting value for money? So we look at one on the ledger, that's tariff movements from 2020 to 2026. In 2020, utility tariffs adjusted amid COVID-era economic pressures. In 2021, multiple quarterly reviews driven by exchange rate and fuel costs. In 2022, tariffs increased amid inflation surge and cedi depreciation. And in 2023, continued adjustments as inflation exceeded 50% at certain periods. In 2024, the quarterly reviews maintained under PURC methodology. Then this year, January 2026, electricity was increased by 9.86% and water by 15.92%. Then fast forward to July, which is expected next month, effective next month, electricity tariffs have again increased by another 3.49% and water by another 0.85%. The cumulative electricity increase in 2026 alone. If a household paid 100 Ghana cedis in December 2025, after January 2026, after the 9.86% increment, that household would be paying 109 Ghana cedis, 86 pesos. Once the new tariff increase, which is effective next month, is applied, if a household paid 109.86 Ghana cedis in January, in July, they would be paying 113 Ghana cedis, 69 pesos. So effective increase in 7 months, that's approximately 13.7%, not 13.35%. The second increase compounds on the first. So there's a bit of a confusion there where a lot of people have quoted 13.35, but the second increase compounds on the first. And then we look at the second part of arrangement on the ledger, which is the ECG losses, what consumers are paying for. We are looking at 2020 to 2025. The indicator here is technical and commercial losses. And in 2020, the technical and commercial losses were about 26%. In 2021, about 27%. In 2022, about 28.4%. In 2023, it was about 28%. And in 2024, 2025, above PURC target. Now, the PURC allowed benchmark in 2020, not available.
Right.
And in 2021, not available. But in 2022, that was 21.5%. And that ran through the rest of the year as of 2024, 2025. Now we look at the world-class utility, 6% to 10% losses. And ECG more than doubles. In practical terms, for every 100 Ghana cedis worth of power purchase, roughly 20 to 30 Ghana cedis never becomes revenue. Consumers ultimately absorb part of this inefficiency through tariffs. Now look at the energy sector debt. In 2020, the estimated burden was greater than $2 billion in 2021, rising due to IPP obligations in 2022, significant fiscal pressure during economic crisis. In 2023, revenue shortfall about US 1.3 billion annually, and in 2025, debt estimated around $5.6 billion. In 2026, government reports US 1.4 billion debt repayments. The sector has therefore accumulated debt despite tariff increases, energy sector levies, government transfers, and debt restructuring. So the levy layer, consumers today pay the energy sector through the first payment is the monthly electricity bill. The second payment, that's VAT and taxes embedded in electricity consumption. And third payment, energy sector levies. And fourth payment, additional one Ghana cedis fuel levy, which was introduced in 2025. This is where the political question emerges. How many times should citizens pay for the same structural inefficiencies? If we go to number 5 on the ledger, government transfers, World Bank estimates indicate government support to the power sector exceeded $1 billion annually in some years. Meaning,
I think that was even confirmed in the interview we had, where it says the finance ministry makes available X amount of money for the purchase of some fuel for power generation.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it simply means even after consumers paid tariffs, taxpayers still paid again through the national budget. Now we look at the PDS lesson. That's 2019. Government terminated the PDS concession. The result, approximately $190 million MCC compact support linked to the concession was lost. In 2027, the government now proposes another private sector participation model. The obvious question, what will be different this time? And then we look at number 7 on the ledger, the revenue collection gap, World Bank assessment 2022. Our collection efficiency was 85.6%, meaning for every 100 Ghana cedis ECG should have collected, only 85.6 T pesos was collected. 14 Ghana cedis 0.40 pesos remain unpaid. The real incremental cost to consumers in ledger number 8, a Ghanaian consumer in 2026 is not facing 3.49% increment. The consumer is facing January tariff increase, July tariff increase, fuel levy increase, existing VAT burden, inflationary effects from higher utility costs, and potential future cost recovery under private participation. Viewed together, this becomes cumulative rather than incremental. So now the big question. Since 2020, Ghanaians have funded the electricity sector through most of the things we mentioned previously. If private sector participation begins in 2027, what measurable targets will consumers receive in exchange? Losses reduced from 21.5% to what? Collection efficiency increased to what? Debt reduced by how much? Tariffs stabilized by when? Because without clear targets, consumers may conclude that every reform simply changes who manages the inefficiency rather than eliminating it.
And I think that was the consensus around the table. Patrice, the question you asked us to, what is being done so that we don't come back to these same questions?
I'm just going to speak 1 minute because we have our guests in the studio. Everybody who is put in the position of leadership is supposed to provide solution. So if over these years we keep coming back to the same issues, challenges, problems, global this, global that, war here, this, that, truncation of this, can't we think on our own to own our solutions? That means anybody who has been put in charge of, say, ECG, Ghana Water, all the energy sectors, they have not lived up to expectation. And after 4 years, after 8 years, they are paid their emoluments, they go away without any responsibility to anybody. What was the blueprint that you put out there?
No, they're basically causing financial loss.
Exactly. So the point is that whoever is put in such positions ought to be dealt with. look, aren't we just tired of not creating anything for ourselves, developing and growing things for other countries to come and learn from us? Every now and then, it's about these two monkeys, the MPP and the NDC. This person puts this person there, this person carries that person and lifts that person there. They leave, and you and I still suffer. You are discussing tariffs today. I don't know how many years ago people discussed tariffs on. When is it Nana?
We've been discussing it forever. I mean,
look,
we've been discussing tariffs forever.
Is it not boring? Is it not boring?
Yeah. Right, gentlemen, I appreciate you for, as always, being a part of the show. I'm gonna bring in my guests. Gonna bring in my guests now this morning here on the 3FM Sunrise. 18 to the top of the hour. Ebo Bachman is Deputy Director of Communications at the United Party. Is joining us in studio this morning. So is Mark Ewusi Ako, is convener of Election Watch Ghana. Dr. Julius Kweku Kata is a fellow, the chartered economist and a member of the NDC communications team. Doc, it's good to see you. It's the first time you're joining us in studio and us meeting in person as well.
Yeah.
I trust that all is well.
I'm good.
Fantastic. Ebo,
I trust to see you. You know, it's been on air all the time.
Yes, a few years, and we've spoken on air for a long time, but we've never met in person, and so it's great to see you as well, Doc.
Yeah.
Ebo,
yeah.
I see you are in the Black Stars jersey.
Oh yes, it is.
Yeah, charge ya, my
yeah, charge ya, fire.
Yeah, it was
fire yesterday. It was fire. We were robbed. You know we were robbed.
Yeah, we got a clean penalty. Which was
even their own players are saying, their own, you know, Rooney is saying it, that Ghanaians were robbed.
That's the first thing we'll talk about before we get into the serious conversations of tariffs and then guns and all of that. Mark, I trust that all is well with you as well.
I'm doing very, very well. You know, I woke up this morning with a very happy spirit. Little did we know that we were going to perform that way. We did our best. I mean, I hear all sorts of people talking about the fact that you should have done better. But I stand to oppose that, because if you look at the strategy in footballing, it is either you win, you lose, or you draw. And if you calculate your chances and realize that your performance today will translate into your performance tomorrow, then you take a decision. So for instance, if the coach knew that we could play, draw and still qualify, why wouldn't he play defense? Because immediately he opens up, these guys would definitely, come in to score. We were fortunate that I was discussing off air with Ebo, that they didn't have a good, skillful player. If not, they would have penetrated into our circles and scored. But our guys demonstrated precision. They demonstrated discipline. You realize at any point in time when they get possession of the ball, our boys are surrounded.
They were throwing bodies.
You understand?
Yeah, everywhere.
Was throwing ball everywhere. And we have to go the Ghanaian way, to stop them at all costs and let them know that, of course, you have the big names and all that, but we are the African giants. We are the stars of Africa. And we were able to stop them. They were even surprised at what we did. I watched also John Terry's interview, and he was really amazed by the performance of our boys, that they thought they would have run over us, just like that. But our boys really demonstrated that, irrespective of the fact that the England or the Three Lions, took possession of the game from the 0 minutes to about 36th, 37th minute, they could not equalize.
Yeah.
That alone.
They could not score.
Yeah.
That alone, tells that our boys did so well.
About your thoughts on the game as well. I think these are initial comments, and then we get into the
yesterday I was telling my brother that I there was no point in time that I thought these people could defeat us.
Yeah.
I realized they were overrated, honestly speaking, in terms of play. Watch, if you play Argentina, Brazil, France, and because they have some skillful players, they can easily penetrate you. Even if you've parked the bus, they will still find a way to penetrate. Yeah. But this one, these were tactical you know, the English football is always like that. Tactical, crosses, pass. So you can easily contain them.
Yeah.
Any team that plays defensive game with English, the English players get frustrated.
Yeah, struggle.
Yeah, because their style is not. They want you to open up so that they can do whatever. But the moment you pack the bag, I think the coach was fantastic. Let me put it that way. The coach was fantastic. I mean, this is an experienced coach. He's been to the World Cup, I think 5 times or so.
Yeah.
So he knows when to move, when to stay. And I think he did it fantastically with the boys. Then the defense. I'll talk about Sarri, but the defense. This guy, Aite guy. Ajite guy. The guy is crazy. You see, the guy reminds me of Osekufo. Asam Osekufo's time when I mean this is street football. I mean this one I don't be perfect. It be street football.
Yeah, he was very good. Very good.
The defense, the four players. The Gideon, is it Gideon?
So there was Marvin Senaya, there was Ajete, there was Jerome Opoku, and then Gideon Mensah.
Charlie, this guy is fantastic, honestly speaking. And midfield too solid, but we lack
up front. Otherwise, we could have.
Who can take on the defenders if you want to break? That was lacking. That was really lacking.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the players, and people were surprised. He didn't introduce the guy who gave the pass last time, Asante.
Yeah, Brandon
Asante. But he was playing a strategy, and he thought at that point
we didn't need him.
Yeah, because for the first match we needed a goal.
This one we needed a draw.
We needed a win.
Yeah.
But this match we needed a draw. So the strategy was not to go. If in case you are able to get some go, fine. But it was fun. I mean, we did very well. And I think they obeyed the coach. What is important is that when coaches are watching a football match, they see more than the players.
Yeah.
So if you can obey their instructions, after our game with Wales, the only friendly match that
he played,
He played. After the match, he said something which was very distracting. He said he was not so much concerned about the result, but he was so much concerned about the fact that the boys obeyed his instructions, and he was expecting that going forward they would do same, and that is what they did. You see, playing to the instruction of the coach, especially if you want to defend and get a point, it's very important. The boys did. I mean, yesterday my God.
I'm not sure any of you will be here. Doc, let me pick your thoughts quickly on the game as well, and then I'll come to Derek Ejikum.
Well, thank you very much. Thank to our listeners, and I would like to take the opportunity to greet all the NDC fraternity, especially His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. On the football, I would say that in football there's something we call tactical discipline.
Yeah.
I think the position of the coach and the way he's going about the boys has given me an encouragement that he has given them a tactical discipline to be on the field. And that is what exactly you talk about, that they listen to the coach. If the performance of the boys at this stage with England was so classic, attacking system unique, midfield unique, up front, yes, there were some few things we have to improve upon, which means that we need to have the goal maneuvering like that, with the Pele type. We should get one person like that at the front. This game, it will be good. But all boils down to tactical discipline. And then also, I would like to thank all Ghanaians, the spirit of unity, the demonstration of even the jerseys alone, like how you have worn it to the
today.
Yes. I mean, the feel, the euphoria. That, when you are playing football, I've played football before. When you have a supportive system, and the jama is going on, and you see
it gets you going.
I mean, and the boys, though they are outside there, majority of Ghanaians here, they are seeing us on TV, media, and all that. That alone, when they are on the field, is another thing altogether. They want to do and die. The attacking system, the defense, the goalkeeper.
I didn't talk about the
Yeah, goalkeeper was fantastic yesterday as well.
He was everywhere in the pole. He was marking the poles. When the ball is going to the wings, left wing, how he positioned himself. When it comes to left wing, how he positioned himself. In fact,
fantastic.
The goal, the Saka shot.
Saved it very well. Punched it away from Harry Kane as well. Mr. Jakum, did you watch the game yesterday?
Yes, I did.
I'll prefer you use it. It was Mike, so that one.
We are from the same fraternity.
Which fraternity? I'm not from the same.
The Danko Buzia don't go fraternity.
Now, a boy has seen the light.
No.
You speak to me about football. Speak to me about football. I beg you.
I don't belong there.
God bless our homeland, Ghana. Yenkunimdie, yendia. Oh, bless our homeland, Ghana. Yenkunimdie, yendia. Oh, say, blasters. Charlie, yesterday was spectacular. I mean, football is the only thing that unites us as a nation, and
it shouldn't be though, but it looks like it's the only thing
that unites. Yesterday, I saw videos of the deputy chief of staff, the minority leader, my communications officer watching the football at one place, and then they were jubilating. I mean, that is the spirit that football brings about. And yesterday, the performance of the players were tremendous. I mean, they did so well. Prior to the match, though history was in support of the Black Stars, but then I asked, are these the players going to face Harry Kane, the Jude Bellinghams, the Saka?
Serious?
Yeah.
Looking at Saka, who had won
the EPL.
Harry Kane winning Bundesliga as the top scorer. You have the likes of Anthony Gordon that Barca recently paid 80 million for. You have Declan Rice in their middle. Jordan Pickford in their pools, and you ask yourself which were the players Jude Bellingham. But it comes to support the long-standing argument that coaches do make a difference.
Absolutely.
I believe these were the same players that Otuado was using.
Told us we didn't even have a right that we should call him and sack him again.
Somebody was saying that we should call Otuado, beat him, then sack him. No, at some point in time, we lost hope in the Black Stars. We lost hope in our football discipline because the results that they were giving us. But Carlos Queiroz has changed the narrative. He has changed the story. But for this football that is giving us joy, you and I know how we are all struggling, but football has given us the joy that we want. So,
let me coded language. That one is coded language.
Let me add this to this.
It's not opposition language at all.
In spite of our joy and our happiness, by our boys, there are some critical issues that we need to look at. If we all agree on this table that football really unites us, football brings us together, how committed are we in investing in football? Yeah. We put together local players to qualify us, and later we go to bring in other players who did not contribute to what the local boys have done. It is something we need to look at. That is number one. And number two, we brought in this coach not too long ago. He's come to, deliver this fantastic performance for us. Are we really looking into the future? How our coaches are being selected, and how long do we make them, work with us? We signed him for just 3 months.
Yeah.
Very soon we'll be leaving because other teams will be coming for him. how do we then position the Ghana Black Stars? So, I mean, if we are talking about the discipline of the boys which they performed yesterday, how disciplined are we as a country in ensuring that we invest properly into the football? Because at almost every time, we realize that most corruption and corruption-related activities emerges from within the Ghana Football Association and then from the Ministry of Youth and Sports. So for me, in as much as we are enjoying and praising our boys, there are some inefficiencies within the system that ought to be addressed.
Fair point.
No, you see, to all of a sudden, this victory to all of a sudden
take us,
cover up
all the ills and the rods.
All the issues we have.
That is right, but exercise patience. 2020 now, you see the difference. Oh, these people, they are not interested in.
I'm going to go for a break. I'm going to go for a break. When I return, we'll start talking about tariffs. We'll start talking about tariffs and the increased increments.
You see, if I jab them now,
relax. I'll go for this break. When we return, then we begin the conversations here. The 3FM Sunrise. Stay with us. is what I'm intending to do on this first round. Let me start with Dr. Carter, because you're in government. And is there a justification as to why Ghanaians should pay 3.5% more for electricity, and if we round it up, 1% more for water as well, in terms of tariffs?
Well, in the first place, I would like to economically acknowledge that we've left so many gaps in the utility sector. The gap I'm talking about is the revenue generation gap. We are not prudently, as a country, managing the revenue system efficiently. Because if you don't do the management very well, what happens is that it will create chance for this kind of increases at every interval that the government changes or whatever, whichever government comes to power. So from where I stand with my experience in economics, I feel strongly that systemic systems must be put in place to check the revenue system, the waste. When we do that, tariffs could not be increasing. I mean, as time goes on, and the burden will be shifted to Ghanaians. That's a fact. And this is technocrat point of view. You know, sometimes when we play politics too much, it doesn't help the majority of Ghanaians who are contributing their quota. So upon that point, I will say that we must, as a government, try as much as possible to close those gaps. That will help us as a country. Now, the tariffs that are increased we are looking at the depreciation of the CD.
Yeah, it's a 0.2% depreciation.
Its replication on the economy. So the purchases, the operational aspect of the utility organizations that are irresponsible might increase in one way or the other.
92.7.
So the Utility Regulation Commission could look at it and say, no, let's increase the bill a little bit. But I think that government must try as much as possible, since there are wastes in the system, to absorb some of the cost, and that will cushion Ghanaians.
That is in your estimation.
Yeah,
what ought to be done?
Yes,
but we're going to be paying this near 3.5% for the next 3 months, starting July 1.
Yeah.
In your estimation, there should be an absorption of some sort, but the budget and the fiscal space is already tight. So where will that money come from? And when we're going through the ledger of facts as well, already the finance minister makes funds available to purchase fuel, which is not factored into tariffs as well.
Yeah, we for me, I look at something else from the national basket. We're taking some royalty charges on mining, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some revenue
extra.
From it. Let's see whether we can circle out some 0.5% out of it to cushion the system. Yeah. I mean, these are technical things, and I think it is possible. If I have an opportunity again to meet the economic team or the finance management team, I'll put it across so that the burden to be done, because passionately I want my government to remain in power and be strong on the ground. So if we can squeeze
3FM
off.
92.7.
This is my opinion. If we can squeeze off the royalty charges and push 0.5 to cushion Ghanaians, I mean, to be okay.
Right.
That's my prudent way of thinking.
Of looking at this.
Yes. I want solutions.
Yeah.
And not the back and forth in terms of political banter and all of that.
No.
Solutions.
Yes.
About 3.5% in terms of electricity and all of that.
And water too.
Yeah, water is 0.85.
Okay, so let's explain it to Ghanaians that if hitherto you're buying 100, you are spending 100 cedis on water in a month. What they are saying is that from now to the next 3 months, you are going to pay 100 and
85 pesos.
85 pesos. So 85 pesos will be added to your 100. So that is on water side. The same with the electricity. If you used to pay 100, now you have to pay 3 cedis, 50 pesos more.
Right.
So that is the situation. So the question is, the question we need to ask: what necessitated this decision? And if you look at the factors that are used to determine the changes, whether they are to go up or they are to go down, there are factors that are, that is known to everybody.
Yes.
In the system, especially those who know a bit about the energy
Let me just help.
issues.
Exchange rate,
Yeah.
inflation,
Yeah.
natural gas costs, hydro terminal generation,
the
outstanding
generation
revenue,
mix, yeah.
and the recovery.
Yeah.
This one is what
Then
I
the
want to
recovery
do.
is the...
So the point is that, you see, we had a situation.
3FM
And it was a very
92.7.
terrible situation. The situation was that at a point in time, we could not pay those who were selling energy to us, power to us. And so they could, at any point in time, threaten. And anytime they threatened, the whole country was shaking because the possibility of having doomsday was always there. So that problem was transferred to this government. So this government is dealing with it already, IPPC issue, you know that.
Yeah.
So we're already paying that. Recently, the city depreciated marginally, you know that, and the inflation also edged up a bit. All those things, and energy mix, the fact that now hydro is cheaper, but we are using more thermal than hydro, has also affected the cost of producing the energy. And if you look at other issues, the fact that because of the problem we had with we have the problem with our gas production, and so it's also affected. So overall, the most important point to make is that PURC is not there only to increase tariffs. It is there for automatic pricing adjustments, which means if prices, if factors necessitate upward adjustment, they will do it. In this country, they have reduced prices before.
In fact, the last window, there was a reduction before.
So that is the point we need to make. That what you see, one important question we need to ask: what would have been the situation if inflation were still 28.3%?
It would have been disastrous.
If exchange rate were still 15 cedis to $1 or whatever. The point I'm making here is that the situation could have been worse, but for the prudent management of the economy, I'm being very objective about it, and somebody cannot say it. Because of the prudent management of the economy, even though there has been some adjustments, I think it's not as burdening as it would have been if we were still under the MPP's economic indicators. Are you getting it?
Right.
So you can't run away from the fact that, because the factors that determine the price adjustment are known. Inflation, haven't you done well with the management of inflation in this country? We've done so well. Having done well when it comes to exchange rate, we've done so well. Do they have effects on pricing policy? Yes. Are you getting the point I'm making? So, yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that Last time they reduced it. This time there were we had some
marginal changes,
marginal shocks in the system, which shot up all the factors that have been determining this. Now they've gone up, which means if tomorrow things gets better, they will come down. Remember, recently we had reduction in fuel and diesel
pump prices.
Yeah. So there's a balance, a fine balance between the energy sector, in terms of fuel and the electricity and all that. But one important point I want to make is that, you see, the ECG must look at the issue of costs management. Costs, you see, it's not just about revenue. Cost is also important. If you are not generating more, then check the way you also spend. Are you getting it?
Right.
So cost of production, cost of operation. It is something...
Largely, the cost of operation is
where they are able to manipulate things. So that is why the cost of operation, they should be taxed to come up with a roadmap as to how they can reduce cost by, let's say, 10% or by 15%. You see, that is when they can cut maybe traveling expenses and some unnecessary expenses. I think the management should be taxed to reduce your cost of operation by, let's say, 20%. Come up with a roadmap as to how in the next 5 years you're going to reduce cost of production and cost of operation.
And technical and commercial losses.
Yeah, so that you don't shift the burden to the consumers. But I think overall, even though any increment is not good for the consumer, but I think the situation could have been worse. Yeah. But for the prudent management of the economy, they are afraid to hear the name because
the unit of increase is not too wide.
The 3.5%.
Yes, it's too wide to say that it will affect Ghanaians. But what we are saying, like we rightly said, let's check the expenditure.
Yeah.
Let's check the operation expenditure. Then when we check that, then that recovery, then we beef up the recovery system. Yeah. When we beef up the recovery system, what will happen is that we are trying to balance the profit level.
Yeah.
We are making profit to come.
Yeah.
You see, when we lack management, prudent management, that is where the problem is.
Yeah, because profit is revenue minus cost.
Yes.
So if you check your costs, you can make profit.
Yes.
Only the revenue side.
I'll come to you and then I'll come to Derek last on this subject matter in terms of.
So I think I really appreciate the angle from which my two big brothers have taken the conversation from, but mine has to do with improved service delivery. Improved service delivery.
It's also another thing.
Are Ghanaians really enjoying improved service delivery irrespective of what level we increase our utility tariffs to? Ghanaians are not really enjoying it. I live at Community 25. For the past 2 months, no single water have flown to my tap.
Hey.
Yes. No single water.
I went through it for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
I never actually had to.
There are other communities within the Ponkata Manso area where recently my people did demonstration against the member of parliament. So he had to come and answer questions. For 6 months, people have not had water running through their pipes. What then becomes the significance of the increment? Although water is not running through their taps, they pay for service charges at the end of every month, although water is not running through their taps. What then becomes the benefit of increasing, these tariffs? And what do consumers benefit from there? You see, in other jurisdictions, some of these installations are run to make profit, to augment government revenue. But in our space here, we always run at a cost, at a loss. And consumers must have to pay for those laws that we have made, all because of operational inefficiencies. Yeah. Why must consumers pay for the inefficiency of these institutions? You understand? So if we really want to look at reasons why it's been increased and all that. I mean, the increments are insignificant, 0. whatever. Although they are money, but they are quite on the low. However, even if it is a peswa, the consumer must benefit. How well are consumers, benefiting from this increment? So, in fact, what I simply want to say is that consumers must not pay for the inefficiencies that is created or caused by either ECG
corruption and
or
inefficiencies.
Ghana Water. Exactly.
Corruption and inefficiencies.
Corruption and inefficiencies.
Yeah.
You made mention of the fact that we should try as much as possible to reduce operational costs. When this minister came, Jinapo came, he looked at the various accounts that ECG had and had to slash all of them down. Again, he looked at the amount of money they spend for their operations. And he said, no, this is too much. And so he made sure he brought in certain mechanisms, and as we speak, they have reduced their level of expenditure. That is a good thing to talk about, but I think we can do more. We can do better. Ghanaians deserve better. So for me, let's look at all these things and make sure that whatever the Ghanaian is paying for is really getting the benefit of it, and value for money. And I will still repeat that Ghanaians should not be made to pay for any inefficiencies that is created or caused by management. Yeah. Again, my big brother made mention of the fact that we should look at complementing consumers or taking off some of these burdens from consumers through the extractive minerals funds that comes. I think it's a very good idea. We have enormous minerals here in Ghana, but our consumers do suffer. We are charged exorbitantly. And you ask yourself, so what then becomes the benefit and the essence of me being a Ghanaian when I have all these resources at disposal? Is it that we have leadership failure or it is management problem? Corruption is eating into us. And it is taking all the necessary benefits that the Ghanaian people would have to enjoy. I think we should do better. Leadership must set up and get things done right so that the consumers and the Ghanaian people would benefit.
Right, Mr. Jekum, 3.5%.
We are monitoring whatever.
3.5% in terms of how much Ghanaians will pay, about 1% for water as well, 3.5 for electricity. Shouldn't be a big deal, should it?
You think so?
I'm the one asking the question. That's why I've asked you.
Please, I decided to focus on my phone when any other person.
Why are you issuing a disclaimer?
No, I need to.
Why are you issuing a disclaimer before you begin
because
to
missiles have been thrown, and some are saying they will come in us and when. Please, I had a lot to say, but I decided.
But you have only 6 minutes.
No problem.
1 minute is already gone.
In 3 minutes I can even make my case.
Okay, so make it 3 minutes.
But you see, Marina, I say this all the time, that political actors must be principled. We must be principled. And that is the only way, apart from the fact that when MPP elects Boache Jacko as the national chairman, when we become principled, that is the only way Ghanaians will take us serious as political actors. So why do I say so? Go and read the post of the current executive secretary to PURC. You had an interview with him this morning, and when I was coming, I was just laughing. Today, these are his opinions on utility tariff adjustments. Really. But you see, why do we adjust utility tariffs? In any case, PURC is not established only to increase utility tariffs as and when. Adjustments, so they can make a downward adjustment. But isn't it surprising that Ebo sits here and talks about the fact that the matters could have become worse? No problem, admitted. But why is it that at a point when dollar was trading around 14 cedis, at a point that we were doing inflation around 23%, and there was a certain level of amount that we were paying for utility tariffs, assuming we were paying 100 cedis, at inflation of 23%, dollar was trading around 14 cedis. But today, inflation is 3%. Dollar is trading around 11.2 based on the PURC report. Fuel is now doing 13.8 8.3 or 8.7. Why the adjustment upward? Why? Why the adjustment upward? Maybe Doc would have to help us.
I'll come in.
No, I don't need you to come in. Why the adjustment upward? Because you see, let us make it very plain. Very plain. This microphone was costing 100 cedis. And that is because dollar was doing 14 cedis. That is because inflation was doing 23%. Today, dollar is doing 11.2. Inflation is doing 3. If for nothing at all, why don't you maintain the price for us? It tells us that something is wrong somewhere that people are not talking about it. And that is the concern.
That's the conclusion you draw from the fact that...
But what? No, but what else becomes the problem? You see, I talk about artificial management of our economy. I talk about that all the time. But you see, I was buying something for 100 Ghana cedis. And the price was 100 Ghana cedis because dollar was doing 14 cedis. And so your production cost was high. Inflation was doing 23%. And so your cost was high. Now inflation is doing 3%. Dollar is doing 11 cedis. And so if for nothing at all, your production cost is what may have increased by 3% based on inflation. But the exchange rate has fallen down by about 3 Ghana cedis per dollar. So why the upward adjustment? Please. That is why I said that maybe Doc may have to help us. I don't want you to, because you are biased already. I don't want you to. You see, when Doc was speaking, he didn't speak as a politician. He spoke as a technocrat. Yeah. So I want in that sense.
And I also spoke as
no problem.
A Ghanaian.
Today we are down well. Oh. Today didn't speak as an NDC fan. He spoke as a Ghanaian. But the both saying he's being principled, please, but you...
I thought you were discussing the issues.
Yes, we are discussing the issue, Marina. You see, that is the problem. That is the problem, because just the year under review in 2025, the adjustment was about 28%. That was when even fuel was doing below 10 Ghana cedis. Dollar was doing around 10 cedis, 9 cedis sometimes.
Oh, I think cumulatively, since the 1st of January 2025, it's been 28%. But before this latest tariff adjustments, there was a decrease across board.
But what
Frederick, show me
what was the percentage decrease?
There was around 3-point-something% decrease at the last
so that is so you see
tariff review.
That is the problem.
So it was 3.6%.
That is the problem that we are discussing this
water
morning.
And then 4.81 for
that is the
electricity.
problem that we are discussing this morning.
So previously, come from a
we were told that
downward trajectory. And
previously, we were told that because of IMF conditionalities, and so regardless of dollar doing around 10 cedis, regardless of inflation doing 3 cedis, it was part of the conditionalities. And then at every 3 months, every quarter, there must be an adjustment. But the NDC made us aware that we're out of IMF or whatever recently. And isn't that what they told us?
This is what we've had over the years.
No, wait.
This system.
No, wait, no problem. But now they were making a case for IMF. Auto Forcing, there's an outlet about Auto Forcing that was making the case that was because of IMF conditionalities. And so no problem, but now we are out of it. Now dollar is doing 11 cedis. Inflation is 3 cedis. What again is this quarter upward adjustment that we have to be facing as a nation? But you see, you make it look insignificant because you see Ebo has made it very minimal. 3-point-something cedis if you were paying 100 Ghana and water.
That's what it means.
No problem.
That's the reality.
No problem. So if I was paying 10,000 or 100,000, do you think it's still insignificant for me based on the additions?
Oh, it will be based on what you are using it for. Because if it's a household and you are paying 100 cedis and we are adding 3 cedis, 50 cedis, and it's a company, okay, that produces more.
You think that 3 cedis is
about value for money.
You think 3 cedis is significant?
I'm saying that.
No, you think that 3 cedis
in my submission, I said that even if it is a peswa.
Exactly. And you see, the case is even that the utilities are not one that we are enjoying because we are paying, There are fluctuations everywhere. I live in Adenta Pantine. There are fluctuations everywhere, there and now. But there is an upward adjustment. I thought when you pay higher, you enjoy quality and better services. But we are receiving the opposite of what you are paying for. Right. And so these are questions that they must answer for us. These are interpretations that they must give us. Because I wouldn't understand. not that I'm being political, I'm being mischievous, but make it make sense to me. That dollar is doing 11 cedis, inflation is doing 3 cedis, fuel is doing 13 cedis. Compared to previous administration, that dollar was doing 14 cedis, that fuel was doing 16 cedis, inflation was 12.
I'll come to
but there was an adjustment, and now the
to see if he can provide.
But still, there's an adjustment. Make it make sense to me.
If he can provide a justification, Doc, just
because you see, Doc's submission was just around they covering the loopholes, they trying to manage their expenses and all of that. But the substance of the matter wasn't addressed, and that is the concern I'm raising.
And that's what
why you are you government? You are you government? You are you government?
No, briefly.
What's his name?
Derek,
let me tell you something in economics. Again, you said we have not addressed the problems. Have you forgotten? That's why I sometimes, when the political spirit comes, I wait till that spirit comes and I talk about politics. Because when I go there, it's a different ballgame. But these are technical issues. Utility issue is a technical issue. And it affects the citizens of this country. Water, electricity is something that if you want to talk about it, you don't have to play with it. Yeah. That's my concern. That is why the kind of approach I use is to let Ghanaians have a settled heart. Because this is a situation where somebody is not satisfied with electricity at his place. Somebody is not having water at Tema. Yeah. How would you present this to the public so that it doesn't aggravate pain? Do you get my point? Yeah. And Derek, you are talking politics. And I want to tell you that the increment, it is not based only on the factor of just inflation alone, just exchange rate alone.
92.7.
There are other factors that are involved. You understand? And that is the reason why when you come into government, you should be able to prudently manage the economy so that we don't go back and forth on these issues. For the 8 years, the management of your economic systems and the structural management of the economy was not in the right direction. Why? Because the excesses were too much. So today, if NDC inherit this government and manage to bring things to normalcy, and you are still sitting here saying that we should explain to you, aren't you feeling it? Aren't you, Derek? Aren't you feeling it?
Doc, are you aware in 2020 there was no adjustment?
No, because of elections, that's what you do.
But 2021 there was no election.
So the fact of the matter is that there are other factors that are causing the increase. But ask yourself.
So make us understand those other factors.
But I've mentioned the factors here. Look, when you have a significant change in pricing, there are certain percentages, they are insignificant. But the fact that they mention increase in price, the word increase goes into the ear of every user of utility.
So
we'll take it that there's a burden coming.
So 3.49 is not significant in your estimation. I mean per yes. Water 0.85. 0.85. Water is 0.85. Yeah.
Yes. When you take, you see, numeracy in this country is a problem. Sometimes we have a problem with numeracy.
Really?
Yes, because people don't understand the figures.
Is it they are insulting us again now?
Do you understand? I'm saying that because from where I come from, with my professional learning, statistics is the thing, and figures is the thing.
But the Ghanaian cares little about statistics and more about what they will feel in
and that is why I prudently say that the word increase
it's
translating to burden.
it's what trickles the psychological, ups and down of the Ghanaian mind.
Right.
So please.
So when
we
you
have
as a
solved a
Topocrat
problem
like this,
for you. You have
what problem have you solved?
Ebo, come in for me, and then I'll just do a quick 2 minutes.
Economic problem that by now people should be thinking.
You see, one of the problems we had was that because of politics, we allowed the debt within the energy sector to balloon. Because of politics.
That
is what MPP did.
That is the sickness there.
What they did was not sustainable. At any point in time, we're going to have problems. What this government is doing is to solve that problem so that we can have
sustainable
energy, sustainability, availability, and even the issue of efficiency. And so let's accept the fact that this government is managing the energy sector better than MPP did. I mean, this is a fact. Nobody can run away from.
But nobody expects otherwise from you.
So, but the situation is so no.
But we are not expecting otherwise. We don't need you to say it, but we know.
Oh, Derek, allow him make the point.
The
so
situation
that
is
I'll
so blatantly clear that this government, John Jinapor, is managing the sector better. There are challenges though, and I've made a point that the ECG and Ghana Water must look at the issue of costs and waste. Cost management and waste management. In this way, I'm not talking about waste as in filth. I'm talking about how we allow money to go down the drain.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go to a place, a pipe is best, but you see that nothing is done about it. The water will just flow. Treated water will just be flowing through the gutters. And what are they doing? It's going to be a cost to the consumer in the long run. I'm saying that is what they are supposed to do. What the government has done, which for me is significant, is how they've managed the macroeconomic of the country. This one, nobody can run away from it. And certainly, it has had effect on pricing in this country, whether energy sector pricing or if you go to the marketplace pricing. We've had significant reduction or stability in our pricing regime, and for me, it's quite significant.
Right.
You see, but let's also say that if yesterday you had inflation of let's say 28.3%, and it has come down. It does not mean price must come down.
Prices have come down. That's a very important point.
It only means that the rate at which price is increasing has reduced, even though price is still what? Increasing. So that is the point that has, even with the exchange rate, because you've also done well. But don't forget, you've incurred certain costs already.
That time,
as a result of the exchange rate,
the prices were galloping.
I do get a point.
I'll come. A quick comment from
Derek is happy.
Mark, and then Derek will
let me say it on record.
We're pinching with the We'll do a forensic investigation on this.
So do quick one, and I'll come to Derek. Then we'll talk about Ghana amnesty quickly, and then
I think that we have done justice to the issue
today.
Yes, but mine has to do with what the consumer seeks to benefit, whether it is governance issue, whether it is leadership issue. We all have accepted that there are some levels of inefficiencies, corruptions, waste, management of our systems.
You remember, Afonso Martin said, as for ECG there, corruption there.
You see, so if
these was the board chairman.
If these are all issues, then I would like the management, to look at how we can improve service delivery. Trust you me, if you are increasing utility to about 50%, and I am seeing constant light, I'm seeing flow of water in my taps every day, I'll have no problem.
Yeah, are you sure?
I have no. Oh,
tariffs are to go up by 50%.
I'm telling you, I will have no problem.
Down.
But why should I pay for tariff and I'm still experiencing light off? Would you be happy about that? Nobody will be happy.
Right.
If I am having lights on and I'm having my water flowing, I have no problem. Thankfully, now we have our lights on. Intermittent disruptions are technical challenges. Derek, are technical challenges. He tried just opposing inflation and then the dollar rate. Last, I think Saturday, I heard Okoye Jr. making same statement on TV that the dollar that has been tamed is artificial, for which reason we are experiencing this challenge.
But it's not good for the economy.
It's not good for the economy. If you are buying this for 100 cedis, and thankfully dollar has reduced, note that it is not all the things procured by ECG and Ghana Water are produced here in Ghana. They're produced outside. And so even if you are able to fight the dollar, okay, you need to carry some amount of money to purchase whatever product you want to buy from outside. And definitely when you come, it has one way or the other an effect, okay, on how much you sell it
and all of that.
But the fact here is that we have managed our economy in such a way that no matter the increment, you are able to put together some monies to buy. If not, you would be buying it. If you are to buy it at the previous rate, which is 17 cedi per dollar, how much money would you use to buy that particular product we are talking about? But now that it has come down to 11.2, it means you may not need a lot of cedis to buy. Yeah. Let's commend the Minister for Energy for what he is doing, but I think he can do more to ensure. And the Minister of Finance.
And Energy. They are doing better than what Derek.
As for that one, as for that,
you have a final comment on this one.
So, Bo must understand that I appreciate inflation. I am not saying that because inflation is 3% and so the price should not increase.
3FM,
we all appreciate that inflation is the rate at which price of items would increase. But I'm saying that if previously it was 100 cedis, at dollar doing 14.6, at inflation doing 23%, fuel was doing around 16 and 17 Ghana cedis. But today, fuel is doing 13.9. Dollar is doing 11 cedis. And so making a case with what you even said, that they purchase equipment and items outside the country. So previously, if it would have cost us 1.4 million to purchase $100,000 gadget, now it is costing us 1.3 million. And so technically, the price shouldn't be way higher than what people were pleased.
But increment is marginal. This increment is marginal.
Relatively. We are doing about 28%, and that is 28 Ghana cedis.
No, I'm saying that currently.
The
current adjustment is marginal. It would have been worse if we were still having inflation.
Would you allow me?
No, I don't want you to just make things simple for our listeners.
No, don't decide on what I should put across.
No, it should be made simple.
No, don't decide what I should put across.
Let's do
don't
it
decide
briefly.
don't decide what I should put across. I'm saying that ever since the NDC took over governance, there have been a cumulative of about 28%. That is to mean that when the NPP was selling utility at 100 Ghana cedis, when dollar was 14 cedis, when inflation was 23%, when fuel was doing 16, 17, today you are going to pay about 128 Ghana cedis. That is the fact.
No. We are talking about the current increment.
Why are you?
So you're speaking to the cumulative.
Why you want to reduce the conversation to now? Why? Would a 3% take away the previous increment? But what are you saying?
But there was a reduction.
But what are you saying?
There was a reduction.
Right.
But what are you saying? Please. Let me make my point.
30 seconds.
My point is that ever since the NDC took over the management of our economy and our governance, with respect to utilities and what have you, when you were paying 100 cedis during the days of the MPP, that fuel was 16 cedis, that dollar was 14 cedis, inflation was 23 cedis. Today you'll be paying 128 Ghana cedis. That is the fact.
The situation would have been worse.
But you were voted into office to solve problems.
Right. I think
there is a government that for 2 years they didn't increase any utility tariffs. What are you talking about?
So I think
what are you talking about?
Your point
what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Your point has been made.
Who negotiated IPPs?
The microphone is off. The microphone is off. The microphone is off, and so the microphone is off. So let's veer into the subject matter of gun amnesty, right? And yes, I actually was going to come to you for you to start on gun amnesty. The Interior Minister says that they've revoked all licenses for gun holders. You are supposed to come back for psychiatric evaluation, amongst other things, and if you pass, your gun can be returned to you. 2,000 guns have been retrieved through the amnesty which was done, and all of that. I mean, quick thoughts around that generally.
That is how I characterize what the minister has done. It is a lazy man's approach.
Why do you call it lazy man approach? When he says that persons have committed suicide, the guns are being used to commit crimes, all of these guns, anybody who has a license, we've revoked it. Return with your pistol, rifle, whatever it is. Let us take you through a process again. If you qualify, we'll give you license to own the weapon again.
And I repeat, it's a lazy man's approach.
Why?
But, Marina, we have people crashing their cars deliberately. We have people getting accidents. So should we revoke all driver's licensing because people are doing these things? But what did Awuni and Wayek tell us? Awuni versus Wayek, what did they tell us? Administrative bodies must act reasonably and fairly. Why do you punish the innocent? No, but why do you punish the innocent? Somebody who is a farmer who may have registered a gun to protect himself or herself from the farms, or probably a hunter who may have registered the gun for commercial purposes in hunting. You revoke every single license and the person may have to go through these processes again. Why are we punishing the innocent? The Anti-Vigilantism Act, that was passed in 2019. What was the purpose for it to serve? And so why do we have to have people go through the hurdle of coming to go through a psychological processes and all of that? I am of the firm belief that there are better ways these things could have been handled. Of course, there are people doing that. That is right. Nobody is saying that it's not happening. That is happening. So what happened to the minister? You have anti-robbery units in Ghana here. Are you saying that the people, for the reasons for these things, would they come and submit their guns? Would the robbers come and submit their guns? In any case, they don't even use licensed guns. So on what grounds are you revoking all licenses just on a knee-jerk reaction because of what happened on Sunday or Saturday by the Suffolk and Tanka family? It's a knee-jerk reaction, and that is the problem of this country and the managers of our country. Every unit, every division, every sector, every department, every agency, they are all in knee-jerk reactions. Look at the health minister, knee-jerk reaction. Now, interior minister is also acting on knee-jerk reactions. Since when did he know that people are committing suicide with guns? How many? This morning, we all made a case with insignificance. Can we compare the numbers of those who are licensed with guns to those who are committing suicide with the guns?
92.7.
What kind of stress do we want to put our people through? My concern is not even about those who have registered for their private use or whatsoever. But let's look at our farmers. Let's look at those who have registered for commercial purpose. Let's look at these hunters. The hurdle they may have to go through. Now, it becomes illegal for you to be using the gun. So if a farmer is, by this night, going to the farm to hunt, and meets the police on the way, whatever in his possession is illegal, and then he may have to face the law. What kind of governance system is it? What kind of process is this?
Right.
When Awuni versus Wayek has told us that you can't punish the innocent, when nobody has done anything, and then I've gone through the right process, gone through the right training to be taught how to shoot, to be taught how to handle guns, buy a gun, license it, pay whatever that I'm supposed to pay. I may not have even shot once before, but because of your inefficiencies to combat certain activities, you revoke every single license, and I would have to come and go through the process again, have to find money and pay again to be licensed. Right. What kind of lazy man approach is this?
Mark,
I think that in life and in systems, we wake up to the occasion when things are not going well. It's for which reason we make amendments and we review things that we run as a country, and that is what leadership is about.
Right.
let's be careful not to say there are lack of gun laws or firearm laws in Ghana. They exist. But the bigger question here is whether we are enforcing them effectively and whether they are keeping pace with today's security realities. All right. Private security operators have their mandate, and it does not. It has a limit, unlike what the police does. I know there's a unit that controls guns and look at the registration and all that. Simply, it is like you buying a car. You can buy a car of your choice, but for you to be able to use the car, you must license the car. And number two, for you to be able to use that car, you yourself, you must be licensed. And that is the gap. Where people acquire guns, they do not have the requisite license to operate the guns, and they're operating it. People acquire guns, and they have no license to use the guns. But the license to use and the license to operate and the license to have are different, and that is what we are failing to do. And so for me, I think that there was a gun amnesty program that ended some time ago. I believe it should be extended, give opportunity to people to surrender their guns. But the minister to say people should surrender their guns and they go through is what?
Psychiatric evaluation.
I don't agree with him.
And some other things.
I do not agree with him. People unlawfully use their guns not because they have mental problems. What if the person goes through the test and he has no mental problem, but maybe out of anger or out of any frustration, he decides to use the gun unlawfully?
Right.
How do you position that person? So for me, in other jurisdictions, what they do is they do a proper background check of those individuals, whether they are to use the guns. So let's take the bit of mental checks up in, let's take it out and look at checking the backgrounds of those individuals, whether they are to use it. One other thing that is of more importance is that look at the uniform that these security guys were wearing. They are like national security guys. How do we differentiate? There are today private securities that whose uniform are like the police. It is difficult to differentiate among the two. These are trending issues that we need to be looking at. And so for me, the Ghana Police Service should be up and ensure that they enforce the laws. If they are prescribed uniforms for private security people, let us look at that. Make sure they wear the prescribed uniforms and stop those interference in uniforms that they wear.
Ebo, the private security, they are operating like CSOs and NDC communicators. You're unable to tell.
Charlie, let me see if it's Ebo, come in for me briefly, 2 minutes, and then.
Yeah, I mean, this I won't have much to say. You see, the point I will make is that gun kills easily, and so if there's anything that we need to do about it to make sure that it doesn't end up in wrong hands, mentally retarded hands, people who have issues with drugs. The background check that you talked about, the mental part is also part of it. That you're going to give a gun to someone, you've not done the background check to know whether the person has any problem mentally. Sometimes they even look at a family. What kind of family are you from?
Yeah.
Whether they have some
violent tendencies and all of that.
And all that. We need to, this one, let me say this. If what the minister has decided to do is going to solve the problem, I'm all for it. But I don't have a situation where we will do all this, then in 6 months' time or in a year's time, we'll come and talk about the same thing. I don't like the fact that it's because of this Adjosafu issue that's why this decision has been taken. People have died through these gunshots all these years. Nothing was done. Maybe probably they were ordinary Ghanaians. But the most important thing is that if you want to solve the problem, because guns are very dangerous, people use them to protect themselves. They also use it to kill. Derek mentioned something which was quite significant. He said, armed robbers, that's what you were doing. Yes. They don't use licensed guns, so they will not come and renew their guns. How do we get those guns from their hands? That is more important than a responsible person's holding a gun which has not even been registered. Are you getting the money? These are people who use guns just to kill, just to rob.
Yeah.
They are still having guns. Every now and then we hear armed robbery cases. What have you done as a nation to clamp down on these armed robbers? Of course, I agree. Before somebody is given a gun, the person must be taken through certain process and certain requirements. They should not compromise on that. We should make it more tight. We should make it tighter to ensure that wrong people don't get guns on themselves.
Absolutely.
It could be dangerous for all of us.
Doc, final word on.
Yeah, thank you very much once again. Gun security issues. The listeners hearing me, most of them immediately they mention Qatar. They know that I'm coming from the background where security is the core of the family.
Okay.
Okay.
But I have my own gun. My gun is economic models. I don't talk about security issues.
Oh, okay. You decided.
Okay. My gun that I have is economic models, how to solve economic problems. But when it comes to national security, there are certain concerns there that are so very strategic and very, very secretive and crucial. The statement made by the Minister for Interior is being advised by other senior security experts in this country. Therefore, I have no comment to that. But then, we must know as Ghanaians that whatever we do in terms of gun or joke with security, it will affect us. That awareness, I have to leave it here. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right. Mr. Jacob,
are you going to talk again?
No.
We are done.
Yes, sorry, it's unrelated. Today, at 2:00 p.m., Daniel Kwame Amanoye Sampon, who is aspiring for the Deputy Secretary for Ayawaso Central, will be submitting his nomination forms. And so all of us that he has had a hand in political growth or in mentoring us, I will entreat every one of us to converge at his company office at Newtown so that we all join him to serve Deputy Secretary. Yeah, constituency, Ayawaso Central.
No, public funds are
No, you see, he's that guy who saw some of us in level 100. Myself, BBC, Bano, a lot of the people that he had groomed, a lot of TESCON presidents that he had nurtured. It becomes necessary that we return that to the able police. It's very it's very particular.
I also have something to say.
I am.
But you make the
Yes,
point.
I am saying.
Why are you using the 1 minute to respond to?
I am saying. Ebo, it is just nice that he's running for. I'm just making that passionate appeal, not even him. He doesn't know I'm doing this, but I'm doing this because of the impact. Because of the impact he has made in our lives. If I mention the people that he had direct impact in their lives, in the impact in their lives, I mean, he deserves better than these things. And also, you see, you remember that I was engaging on a different from my Samsung. On Sunday, it got sport. And Blue Wave Computers had decided to gift me a Fold 6. Hey. And so Blue Wave Computers, that is opposite to Wisconsin University.
And today MPP, don't worry. Today MPP is gone. This BPP, our mayor proposed party is gone. Nobody should worry.
There is this concern I want to share. You know, in recent times there's been rainfall, and mostly when there are rainfall, those of us who drive in our communities, in fact, our roads have deteriorated seriously.
Been exposed terribly.
Exactly. My other community, that is Bechile Road, in fact, it's been so terrible, so bad. I actually commend the Minister for rules for the good works he's doing. But I think that the concentration shouldn't just be on the major rules. The inner rules should also be looked at.
The drains.
The drains.
You know, me, I was born and bred in Cape Coast. I lived my life in Cape Coast till when I came to Lagos.
Yeah.
That's when I moved to Accra. Then went back and came back to Accra. I had never seen flood in Cape Coast.
Until you came to Accra.
No, I'm saying recently.
No,
Cape Coast.
18
Cape
people.
Coast.
Yes. 18 people.
Flooding. Cape Coast. UCC. I never experienced one. Nature is speaking to us.
Right.
Nature is speaking to us.
The wickedness in government, the people.
The nature. If you don't respond appropriately,
we'll all be taken.
Yeah, because
right. Doc, do you have any person you should be saying, sending greetings to, so that I do birthdays quickly? I have just 3 minutes to leave.
Well, I will only say that I want Ghanaians to have faith. They have hope. We are going to do everything possible to make sure that we increase the pace of economic development and micro stability of this country. All the experts, the think tanks, are putting their heads together to help John Dramani Mahama to make this country sustainable, great, and strong.
Right.